webinar today. I, Fatima Kadri, along with my co-host for today, Rajeshwari Pohan, on behalf of Bharati Vidyapeeth's Institute of Management Studies and Research, National Institute of Personnel Management Raigarh Chapter, Kokan Gyanpith Uran College of Commerce and Arts, in association with Human Capital Club, with immense pleasure like to take the proud privilege to welcome Honorable Dr. Vilasrao Kadam, Regional Director, Bharati Vidyapeeth Institute of Management Studies and Research, Dr. Anjali Kalse, the Director of Bharati Vidyapeeth Institute of Management Studies and Research, Professor Kishore Sharma, Chairperson and Principal, Kokan Gyanpith Uran College of Commerce and Arts, Mr. Avinash Somvanshi, Chairperson of National Institute of Personnel Management Raigarh Chapter. Speaker for the day, Dr. Sajeev Kumar Nair, respected faculty members and all the participant delegates for today's webinar on competency mapping, need of the hour. I would request our respected Director of Bharati Vidyapeeth Institute of Management Studies and Research, Dr. Anjali Kalse, to kindly welcome the audience. Over to you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Very good morning and warm welcome to you all for this very important webinar on competency mapping, need of the hour. Basically, this particular workshop is organized for all the HR professional, because we all know that gone are the days when HR is restricted up to the recruitment. But here it is, HR has evolved now. And if you see in the last a few years, the normal routine HRM is been replaced by competency based HRM. So it is very essential and important to know the practical aspects, because we say assessment center, we are assessing the competency, we are mapping the competency. So as a HR person, I feel everyone should know that how to map the competencies and how to assess the competency. And when you do it practically, I think that is most important, because they, for the freshers, when they join the organization, they can start doing job directly. So this hand-on experience definitely help the HR professional as well as new budding managers to go and start working with respect to, because this particular area is very interesting and very important. And I feel today Dr. Sajeev Nair is with us, and he has immense experience specifically with competency mapping in the Reliance. He is in the he was heading the learning section of Reliance, and with his vast experience, I think how to map the competencies with a relative example, he will give you a very good view on how to go it practically, because we all have done the theoretical part. Most of the HR professionals, they read it, though some of the participants, they must have done the competency mapping certifications also. But those who are just knowing the concept and they want to know in depth that how it is done practically, I think Dr. Sajeev will do justice with this. And my all the best to this competency workshop. I request all the students, with a great effort, we have arranged this workshop. In fact, I'm thankful to Dr. Sajeev when we called him from Bharati Vidyapeeth, and he agreed. He's been kind enough, out of his hectic schedule, he has taken time and agreed to conduct this competency mapping workshop and give practical exposure to our students. So thank you, Sajeev. And I think this definitely, this workshop will help students when they will give their interview also, when they will join organization also. So please take full advantage of this competency mapping workshop, take maximum out of it, and definitely this experience will help them, in their career. So I wish all the best for this particular workshop, and I think the maximum benefit this particular workshop will give you all. So thank you very much, and once again welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for welcoming our speaker, guest, and all the participants. Moving on to today's topic, competency mapping, need of the hour. Competency is the ability to do something successfully and efficiently. As a whole term, competency mapping is the process of identifying the specific skills, knowledge, abilities, and behaviors required to operate effectively in a specific trade, profession, or job position. Competency mapping identifies an individual's strengths and weaknesses. The aim is to enable a person to better understand himself or herself, to a point out where career development efforts need to be directed. Competencies are derived from specific job families within the organization and are often grouped around categories such as strategy, relationships, innovation, leadership, risk taking, decision making, emotional intelligence, etc. Today, to enrich us on this topic, we have an amazing speaker, Dr. Sajeev Kumar Nair. Dr. Sajeev Kumar Nair, a CEO and founder chairman, Competent HR Solution and Asset, president and executive board member and master mentor, IIMT Studies, senior functional and sorry, senior functional and strategic leader in HR learning and competency development, engineering operations, HSE, that is health, safety and environment, global auditing and governance talent management, leadership development and business planning, including building talent pipeline as per organizational requirement, business transformation champion, creation, operation and sustaining of learning academics in various domains, implementation of blended learning methodologies, including e-learning and digital learning, experiential learning products, change management, risk management, championing people and engineering system, quality assurance and lead auditor in human capital, operations and engineering management, verifier and quality checker in various system and compliance at par with international standards and international accreditation. Organizational development program, mentor for HR, engineers, line managers, and leaders, and focus to implement various training pedagogy such as web-based or e-learning, virtual classroom training delivery, simultaneous training on the job, and experiential learning and specialist training programs for organizational development. Over 35 years of extensive professional experience in national and global corporations, have worked in multicultural environment, offshore, onshore, islands, interior locations, corporate offices with reputed companies including Reliance Industries Limited, Royal Dutch Shell, Shell operating companies such as PDO, Petroleum Development Oman, Electronics and Electrical Development Corporation, Keltron, manufacturing companies, product development organization, engineering education institutions, Extron Manufacturing and Product Development and Service Company in the US as Adnoc Group Abu Dhabi. Strong analytical and organizational abilities with skills in enhancing systems to bring greater cost efficiency levels by utilizing the resources in a most effective manner. Quality blended experience in engineering, operations, HSE, learning, and competency development. HR implemented effective process and systems as a part of business transformation and formation of academy in various domains for employee developmental activities as per business objectives. Effective communicator with strong problem solving and information analyst skill, passionate and affinity to building the team as per organization requirements, strong team player, team lead and team leader, maintain a very high rapport with internal and external people to meet the business targets and organizational requirements. Hereby, I welcome our speaker for today, Dr. Sajeev Nair, to all. Over to you, sir.
Hi, very good morning to everyone. I hope I am audible and my video is also clear. Am I right? Only one person
Yes,
can
sir.
talk.
Yes, sir, you're clearly audible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you very much for the extensive kind of introduction about myself. It is not required even small one line or two line is more than enough, and I will be talking about the competency mapping bit in detail. And Dr. Anjali was mentioning about yesterday that, I'll be talking about the competency mapping development with case study practical examples. I'm not a guy who has got some fancy kind of lecturing and all, because I did it more than thousands of competencies in my life, and that too working with world major corporations including Reliance. And before that, and I was with the Royal Dutch Shell, which was 20 years. I was working in various domain areas. So I'll be sharing a lot of details about that kind of stuff. And other than theory, you already learned about theory in a bit in detail. And I personally believe that, you learn a lot about the competency mapping in the as a topic in HR, human resources development or organization development. The whole overall presentation, this is a 3-hour discussion, and maybe 2 hours 45 minutes followed by some question answers and all. That's what I personally believe. And it has to be more interactive, and you need to write down the salient points to be asked, and you can email me or you can discuss with me here, and you can discuss with me later also, because the 3 hours is you will be getting some sort of awareness level only and knowledge level only, and skill level, and you will skill and mastery level you will acquire once you have extensive years of experience. That is over a period of time you will gain a lot of knowledge and skill for doing this competency assurance systems in the organization. So I'll be briefly touching upon in this session about okay. These are all the topics. Competency mapping start to initiate the process, and I'll be talking more about during this workshop, competency and competency assurance system, competency mapping at its importance. That's what we are mostly touching upon. Competency mapping, case study, real examples, and how we are doing the competency mapping, and the various tools and methods of competency assessment and assurance, which I am not going to talk bit in detail, because this session is, I believe, is divided into two. Today, I'll be talking more about the competency mapping, job competency profile or competency catalog or development framework, etc., etc., etc. And maybe tomorrow the assessment center and all. And one thing I'm going to tell you about that, during this discussion, I'm not going to talk only about the behavioral or leadership competency. Competency is not that one. And for your information, competencies comprises of 3 major buckets. One is the mandatory competencies, including functional and cross-functional competencies. That is important. And the third one is the behavioral and leadership competencies. And in India, which I have noticed many times, and many organizations approached to me when I was working in Reliance, just 2 months back, even up to 2 months back, over nine years I was working, and everybody was talking about assessment center. Everybody, once I talk to them, they will talk about behavioral and leadership competencies only. That is not the one an organization is looking for. Organization is looking for a holistic approach about the functional competencies. If it is in hydrocarbon industry, like safety and quality competencies, then the behavioral and leadership competencies. Behavioral and leadership competencies is only a subset of the overall competency assurance program. So being me as by background, I will tell you, I'm a functional engineer and HR professional. So my 50%, I worked in the business and as an engineering head, operation head and all. Then after that, I moved to the learning and development professional as a director and senior vice president in group manufacturing, learning and development in Reliance. And before that, I was heading the learning and development function for Shell and even for Exter and all. So my talk will be more on practical on, how the competency mapping or competency building is happening in a major organization or corporations. It is not like a fancy kind of thing. It is not like a bookish kind of learning, which I am going to narrate and which I am going to tell. And I will show you some sort of real competency mapping with the practical case study examples. That's what I'm going to talk about. And everybody knows that, what is competency mapping and why it is needed. And I'm sure you already spoke, and even in the introductory lesson also talked, and Dr. Anjali ma'am also talked about, learned a lot about the theory and all, but I'll be talking about, the why part is very, very important, and people may not be know why it is required. Oh, competency mapping is important, everybody is doing, we also do it like that. It is not like that. I will talk about little bit about the overall presentation, maybe initial 3-4 slides about some sort of concept. Then I will be switching over to the competency catalog, the what you can say, the major terminologies used in competency assurance system, like competency catalog, job competency profile, development framework, CMAPs, profiles, etc., and all. So competency mapping is a process by which we determine the nature of specific job role, knowledge, skill, and required the level, including the behavioral competencies required to apply these skills and knowledge on that particular job role, which already knows it. This is a very pure theoretical part. Everybody knows. Competency mapping may play a vital role in selecting, recruiting, and retaining the right people. When the competency required for a particular role is mapped, an accurate job role is created. So it is used for competency-based hiring or recruitment, competency-based succession planning, competency-based career development program, competency-based, moving from one role to the next level in the HR perspective as well as the business perspective. We can discuss with lot. I can talk the competency topic, especially for the major corporations like manufacturing or oil and gas industries. Not only 3 hours, even 3 months, I can talk continuously about all the details, because I am so confident about that. I'm an international competency assessor and competency verifier, and apart from my lead IMS auditor from Edexcel UK, which is a very, very vital prerequisite for Shell. If you are working in a major oil and gas, I'm talking about a major oil and gas company in the world like Shell or ExxonMobil or BP, they were very clearly talking about all these competencies required for the job role working in a hazardous environment, which is the ultimate and most important thing. The people working in the hazardous environment, the hydrocarbon industry, needs to assure that these people are completely competent while doing their activities. Very clear. That's what, competent. It is not like a fancy, sir, I have completed a competency framework and everything, but in reality I cannot do anything and all. That is not the competency I'm going to talk about. Competency mapping identifies an individual's strength and weakness. The aim is to enable the persons to better understand himself or herself, and to point out where career development efforts needs to be directed. From the perspective of the employer, competency mapping increases your awareness on existing skill sets as well as the skill gaps in the organization. This helps you make informed decisions when it comes to aligning the learning of your existing employees within your required skills, because it is a vital thing. Competency assurance, even in Reliance, it is one of the largest corporation in India, private organization in India. We have implemented competency assurance system for all asset facing role as a first phase. What is asset facing role? The people are working in assets. People are working in, various operations and operations equipments and maintenance equipments and engineering equipments in the plant. That is the asset facing role. If the people are not doing very well, the productivity will go down, and the inadvertent breakdown will increase. Maintenance will not happen. This will be a big problem. So we need the competent workforce. A person working in the non-plant area or sitting in an office, that is the third priority for me as a functional head, or an engineering head, or an operation head, or a department head in that particular division. I personally believe that the people working in the plant, that is more important. The contractors working for the organization, that is more important, because if they should not commit any mistakes. So that's what I'm going to talk about. Competency is not a fancy or a good terminology which we can project it. I did my competency mapping and I'm a competent workforce. But in case of any problems, the person should not run away from the real situation. So competency framework, see, these are all the general terminology normally used in the competency assurance management system, or competency assurance system, or competency development system. You heard about competency dictionary, you heard about competency catalog, you heard about development framework, you heard about competency framework, you heard about job competency profile. These are all more or less, if you look at and align it, it is correlated and interlinked. Competency framework is very, very important. Set up list of key competencies. I will talk more in detail while we are designing a competency mapping or a competency catalog or a job competency profile. Define what those key competencies mean in practice and set up different levels of proficiency levels. That also I will talk about different proficiency level in the competency framework. Assess each team member using competency map. Identify the gaps and fill the gaps by training interventions. What is the main intention of this competency and competency mapping we are talking about? We have to assure and we have to make sure that the people are we need to generate competent workforce for our business. If you doesn't have the competent workforce, what will happen? That's what I have mentioned, the initial 2-3 slides I have mentioned about what if an organizational workforce is not competent. It will be disaster. That means productivity loss and breakdown will increase, and MTBF, mean time between failures will increase, and plus the cash flow will decrease, reputation will go down. We don't want to have that kind of workforce in an organization. We want competent workforce. So the competency mapping and all, you have to think that why it is required in an organization, because an experienced industry expert, who are all assembled here, definitely you can know. And the other lecturers and professors and students and research scholars who are learning about this one should understand about what is clearly about, what is the purpose of competent workforce and how we can build the competent workforce. That is the one which you need to learn a lot, over a period of time. Once you move to the industry, once you go to the organization, then you will come to know about that kind of things. Other than the basic theory, basic equations, or basic, concept what we learned, that is only I would say it is only a 5%. The remaining 95% it will come in reality, in practicality and all. So, everybody knows that, Piper Alpha incidents, North Sea, 6th July 1988. If you look at the consequence which is written there, 167 out of 229 people on board were killed. Finished. 167 people were not there. This is what I'm talking about competency. It is not like a paper, not only an HR competency I'm talking about, a functional competency, domain competency, HR competency and all. HR competency, okay, fine. And if I talk about the holistic competency concept in an organization, that we have to bring it, and you need to conceive it, institutionalize it and execute it. There lies the importance of the competency assurance. This is non-adherence of the permit work system. I don't want to touch upon what is adherence to permit work system, which may be too much for you. If you are working in a plant, you should know that, every work there is a PTW system. You heard about SOP, you heard about SMP, you heard about isolation certificate, de-isolation certificate, excavation permits. For certain jobs, certain permits, certain certification is very, very important. You cannot say certain things. You should understand about what are the things. That's what I'm saying about. I am always talking to the management trainees who are coming to my office, in Reliance, especially MTs. We are hiring, around 700 graduate engineers every year, and around 100 to 200, management trainees. I'm saying about the management trainees very clearly that, you already did your BA or BBA or MBA or BTech, MTech and MBA. That is not sufficient. You go to the plant and you have to see what's going on inside the plant, what's going on into the plant. That's what I'm saying about, functional or business objective has to be very, very clear. Not only knowing something in books and all, I know what the organization is doing. If I go and talk about a guy, I personally, I'm going to tell you, a personnel with a long years of 4 or 5 years of experience, I asked to a question, simple question to a person. He's not a hardcore business person, and tell me about what kind of productivity what we are doing, which are all the different customers it is going, how this is going, and what kind of money which you are getting. You tell me something about commercial part. After 6 years of experience, this guy was talking about nil. The answer is nil. He's not very clear, or she's not very clear about that. Means the competency of the business itself is zero. So first of all, if a person is involving on anything with respect to the competency mapping, that person should know the business. If the person doesn't know the business, only you will be knowing only a framework and some sort of Excel spreadsheet or a portrait or a landscape paper. That is not the one I'm going to talk. Everyone should know the business objective. Everyone should know the business bit in detail. Not only awareness, little bit in a fairly in a good understanding about the business. That then only you can do all these kind of things. So this is a disaster which we don't want to happen in any organization. If you Google it, and if you will see that major safety incidents in the hydrocarbon industry, fatalities, 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 fatalities. Where right side you see the fatalities. This is purely because of the non-compliance work. This is purely because of the people are not doing the job correctly. This is purely because of the people are not following and adhering the standard operating procedures, which we don't want. See, our own country, India, Bhopal, 1984, 2,500 fatalities, mostly offsite, many other injured offsite, which we doesn't want to happen in any organization. Because I'm very, very sharp on this one. Wherever I worked in, most of the companies I worked, it's abroad, outside India, and that too for different, even in US region or UK region or Far East or Middle East or whatever it may be, even in India also, here in Reliance, even in Department of Electronics, Government of India also. That was my first job when I joined as an engineer. See, if you look at here, this is very important. Major global corporation, Shell, more than 500, 600 billion US dollar corporation, what they are saying, 71% of incidents are related to lack of competence. That's what I'm talking about. It is not a fancy. Learning and competency is not a fancy piece. So, sir, I have completed this much course. I have got 100%, 100% this mark, 100%. This is my certification. I got everything. That is not the competency what we are going to talk about. And she has touched upon on important, the ability to perform an activity within the occupation is the competency. That's what important. Another important study is saying that 50% are not following the procedures. And people think that I am an experienced guy. 15 years of experience, 20 years of experience, 25 years or 30 years of experience. I can do the job without looking at anything. So finally, it is a disaster. To them, I am asked always in a big forum, I am always asking a question. This presentation is not there. A 35 years or 40 years of experience to pilot, who is operating an aeroplane. 40 years of experience or 30 years of experience or 20 years of experience to pilot. Before operating an aircraft, you will see there is a check sheet. You will see the turbine number 1 on, turbine number 2 on, and this reactor is on, this radiator is on, ambient temperature is this much, tick mark, tick mark, tick mark, tick mark. Then the turbine, left turbine is in full throat, right turbine is in full throat, tick. Then we are about to take off and communicating to the, why he is doing this check sheet with 45 years of experience, 35 years of experience. Because that person, he or she is going to operate a critical equipment, that is aircraft, with some A380 means it is around 400 passengers, the largest plane, 400 to 500 passengers. So before operating a critical equipment, make sure that we should not make any mistake. That's what I'm showing, an equipment, a critical person is operating a critical equipment or a critical machine. Assure that there should not be any mistake. That's what I'm talking about, 50% related to not following the procedure. So for me, in an organization, a person working in a small office and doing some computing, for me, it is a last priority for competence. A person who is doing the business, the person who is doing even HR, their competency is also very important, because otherwise, they will be hiring wrong people for the business. And their competencies are, so we have to identify which are all the areas we need to attack first, and you need to have a benchmark studies. I'm also doing a big project within, I don't want to name the organization. It's a very huge project, a 2 years project, especially on the competency assurance system. And it's a very huge corporation in outside India. So there we are talking about and touching upon various points, before we start doing all this competency mapping, which are all the essential areas, as essential people which we need to attack first, and prior P1, P2, P3, P4. Out of that, the first phase will be P1 and P2, then second phase P3, P4, like that. Okay, so 4 pillars are very, very essential for an effective solution if you implement any competency assurance system in any organization, anywhere in the world. I'm not saying about in India or in any state and all, anywhere in the world. 4 pillars. These are all the 4 pillars of competency assurance system. One is the competency framework, CMAPs. That is my topic today. I'm touching upon only the other points. The first point is the competency mapping. learning and development, I will talk, and software, and how you are going to manage the whole piece. It's a how you are going to manage the whole dinosaur, or how you are going to manage the whole junk of information. If an organization in Reliance, when I was dealing with the group manufacturing, I got the people asset facing role, and including the all other stuff, around 30,000 employees. Just to imagine how I am going to manage the 30,000 employees. Of course, we have to have a system based approach, so that all documents, everything, it will be articulated in the system, and different tools and processes in which we can route. Then the last one is the people and processes. So if you have these four essential elements, there are a lot of people here, professors or students, a lot of students will be listening. You have to think that, once you want to execute or implement the competency mapping or competency assurance system in anywhere, these four pillars is a very, very vital part. One is the framework. Your competency mapping, your profile, everything is coming under competency framework. And you have to have a very robust learning and development. And you have to have a software, and you have to have people and process effective implementation. You have to have competency assessors and assessment centers, etc. Assessment center, it is not only behavioral. I'm not talking about behavior. For me, behavioral competency maybe 30 or 40%. Remaining functional, cross-domain, safety, quality, everything. So whole picture, which is important. Competency is not only attacking only leadership and managerial competency. I'm sorry. That is not the competency I'm talking about, this one. And you will be learning a lot about competency assessment framework, which will be addressing only the leadership, behavioral, interpersonal skill competency. But I am talking about the business competencies, which is required for the business, which is required for an individual, which is required for a job position, which is important, job competency profile. So that's what I mentioned here. CMAPS is nothing but competency mapping or competency maps and domain profile. Some companies, even in ADNOC, Ministry of Oil and Gas, one of the very 130 billion US dollar company, ADNOC, Abu Dhabi National Oil Company. I was secondman from Shell to ADNOC. There they called us DFW, Development Framework. This is nothing but competency mapping only. Even in Reliance also, we have got competency catalog and JCP, job competency profile. And the terminology, it is same only. What are the different competencies required to perform a particular job role in the occupation as expected in employment? That is the simple definition. It's my own definition or NVQ definition. So whatever I am talking about, ladies and gentlemen, this terminology is actually, it has come from, not from any basic books and over and above books. Then we have got NVQ and SVQ standard, National Vocational Qualification and Scottish Vocational Qualification standard. These are all the major framework and standards which normally any major corporations are using, like big companies, even Google or Microsoft or BP or Shell, Chevron, ExxonMobil, all the major companies, they were following this kind of NVQ. Even in Australia, they called us ATQF, Australian Training Quality Framework, ATQF. When I was in Sydney and Brisbane, we were talking about all this kind of Australian training qualification framework, which is absolutely the same framework. Each country has got its own pedagogy or nomenclature, and they are following this one. But the concept is absolutely same. To me, the concept is very simple. It is not a fancy piece. We cannot say that I am a competency professional, I am a competent person, I can do the job. I can do the job, you have to show me how you are going to do it. That's what I will come in picture. That you show me, then I will certify you that you are a competent person for doing that. That kind of reach we have to go. We have to attain that kind of reach. So everybody knows that. I'm not going to explain about competency is the ability to perform occupational activities to the standard in the job. See, the third definition, I'm very much like this kind of third bullet point. Competency is therefore about the performance in the workplace rather than knowledge alone. A person has scored 100 marks, he is or she is the gold medalist in the world. Doesn't mean that this guy will be taken by the organization. He will come to the organization, or she will come to the organization. Then he has to show his competency in the reality. He has to apply the knowledge and skill to the reality. That's what I'm saying about it is not only knowledge alone. It is about the performance in the workplace. So competency is therefore about the performance in the workplace rather than knowledge alone. These are all different interpretations of competency. You may not see somewhere. It is actually, I took it from Shell, ExxonMobil, and even in that talk, I put it here, and my own definitions, which I put it here also. It's made of three elements. It is everybody knows these are all basic things. I'm sure you know it, but you please don't learn something peripherally. Then you are in the wrong direction. I'm telling you honestly. You need to go in bit in deep. Skill, it is written skills. Manual, mental, analytical, how to do a job or a perform a task on what? On various kinds of business. If you look at the business, IT business is there, and finance corporations are there. There are construction companies are there, project companies are there, and oil and gas companies are there. Even IT industries and even the film industries are there. If you look at any hazardous industries are there. So you look at the skills in a holistic approach. So you have to go and learn about, what kind of business a stakeholder, a customer wants. So the skill is important. Knowledge doesn't mean that a basic knowledge. I'm not going to talk about, what is the definition of recruitment, what is the definition of talent management. That is a knowledge which you already learned from the school. Here, the knowledge is nothing but underpinning knowledge required for performance, facts, theories, and concept in the business. Knowledge, facts, and theories in the class. Behavior, safety conscious, motivated, teamwork. I personally believe behavior it is more important. Say, for example, I will tell you in an organization, a guy is very good skill oriented, a very good knowledge oriented person. Behaviorally is horrible. I'm definitely not going to hire that kind of person in the organization. Not only me, anywhere. So skills, knowledge, and behavior, that is the competency we are talking about. So how you are going to do this competency mapping for all these kind of things into the the concept itself. So you should understand bit in detail about all this kind of stuff here, which is important. Benefits. I know that benefits is very important, employees and managers, and clarifies the expectations in terms of job specific knowledge and skills, and this helps them to be focused in their efforts towards building the required capabilities. The last paragraph, you read it. A highly skilled workforce is vital to a company's competitiveness and business success. This is a sentence, which I have generated when I was working in the Ministry of Oil and Gas. Employees needs to have a relevant and up-to-date skills to respond to market changes and increasing customer demands. In short, a competent and versatile workforce will make a vital contribution to the company's overall performance. If the company's overall performance has to be enhanced and increased, and the productivity is going to be increased, and the cash flow has to be increased, and plus your PLI, your increment has to be increased, and company reputation is going to up and up. Important is human capital. I'm talking about the human capital management and how you can enhance the capability of human capital, not only in books, not only giving some mere training and giving tick mark and this guy is good, training is over. That is not the one I'm talking about. He knows the business knowledge. He knows that business acumen in terms of the three buckets like knowledge, skill, and attributes. That's what it is mentioned. Benefits of the whole. Everybody knows that improved HSE. If you are working in a very high level hydrocarbon industry, hazardous environment, health, safety, and environment, reliability and integrity of equipments and systems, better plant availability and utilization. The people are not very good. They are unable to do the preventive maintenance and predictive maintenance and conditional monitoring. The equipment availability will be less, so the productivity will be eventually less, so the utilization will be less. So we don't want to create that kind of, we have to see that the engineering and maintenance and operational professional working in the plant has to be complete 100% competent. Less unplanned downtime, decreased plant turnaround, less rework, higher staff morale development. So these are all the benefits of competent workforce. So ladies and gentlemen, it is not only mapping, okay, these are all the competency you need to map with the job roles, finish. I can talk even within 5 minutes, but that's not even 3 hours is also not enough. You will get some basic awareness only. And if you have a practical hands-on experience in the plant over a period of time, you will build the competencies. For your information, ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you one important thing. When I was working in Shell during 1996, I did competency assessor. Organization has told that, you Sajeev, you need to undergo a competency assessor. It's a days initial program followed by practical. This is in Edexcel UK in London, and I was there and I did it, and then I was a practical assessor for engineers and managers working in the plant and all, Then what Shell was saying, once you complete minimum thousands of assessment, then you can go for verification, auditor. That means that kind of high level compliance, the company like Shell was doing. Once you do that one, then you can go for verifier, internal verifier. Then you can go for external verifier. Then you can go for global verifier. I did my global verification also by 2003, 2004. So why it is important? That means you should be completely aware. I will tell you a very simple example. If a person is working in an offshore area, some sort of, you've seen that, some offshore plant has burned because of some problems. So a firefighting engineer, he has to go there, and how he has to go there and mitigate that fire, through helicopter. That is the competency I'm talking about. The person is going there and mitigate and control the fire. That's the competency I'm talking about. So that is ultimate kind of like an aeroplane drive, aeroplane operation, that is the critical equipment systems and all. I'm not saying about a guy who is a storekeeper, is doing, inventory kind of, that is also important. But to me, maybe after P3 or P4, that I can develop that kind of competence. So asset facing role competency is very important. If you know, and if you go and do the deep dive analysis on the asset facing role, then the others, it will be very, very simple for you. I don't want to mention that competency assurance system. I will say that competency development system for those people. The people who as a head of department and or VP level or senior VP level or board of members level and all, that is also important. So it is very important for competency management system. CMS and HR linkages got lots and lots. Whatever we are talking about in an organization, job description is an important. So many organizations I have seen that they doesn't have job description also. Even if they have job description, it will be in a very haphazard manner. It is not well written also. Succession planning. These are all the words which you are learning from MBA HR also. But how the succession planning has to happen in an organization, how you can build the successors for one level to the next level. Once the person is retiring, once the person is resigning, how I can create a pool of experts in an organization to make succession planners, to make the next level executives or leaders available there. So these are all CMS is linked. Career planning, performance management, learning and development, even recruitment and key performance indicators or KPIs or KRAs or scorecards or task and target, etc., etc. These are all eventually linkage. So these are all the things I am talking about. It is very, very practically which you need to apply it here. Definition, everybody, I'm not going to talk about, is a process of identifying key attributes, knowledge, skills, and of each position in the organization. So competency mapping, if you want to do the competency mapping in any organization, you have to have some stuff. Otherwise, you cannot do it. You are unable to do it. Otherwise, you have to create it. That's what even now also I'm doing the project work. Some companies, they were, when I'm doing the project work, and they were not having the job description fully for an asset facing role. Then from where you are going to come? From where you are going to create the competency mapping? So this is also one of the elements of creating or generating competency mapping. Job description is important. Job analysis is important. Discussion with SME, SPE or SPA. SME is nothing but, everybody knows that subject matter experts or skill pool experts, or SPA, skill pool advisors. These are all the terminologies normally. So SPE is the terminology normally used in Shell. SPA is the terminology used in Middle East ad hoc. SPA, skill pool advisor. SME also in Reliance, we were using the word SME, subject matter experts, and behavioral interviews. So collecting all the facts and figures is an enormous kind of exercise if you want to do meticulously a competency mapping. Otherwise, you are not going to do anything. You will do it within 1 hour. You can do the theoretical part, you can do the competence. That's what I'm not saying about, you have to generate lots of data and information for making the competency. Oh, job description, you may ask, job description for what? Job description for different kinds of job roles. Our job roles and number of people is different. An organization has got maybe 2,000 employees, example, or 1,000 employees. 1,000 employees doesn't mean that 1,000 job description. 1,000 employees, maybe 10 or 15 is the job role. For each job, 10 job role or 15 job role, we have to have job description. Say, for example, an officer, a senior officer, a manager, a senior manager, or a general manager. These are all the job roles I'm talking about. Number of person, an officer may be 150, a manager may be 25. So please remember, job description, job role and personal numbers is a bit different. I'm sure that you know it, but if you are not knowing, learn it, deep dive it, and learn something more about that kind of thing. Job description, synopsis of the job, what they're supposed to do, responsibilities and accountabilities and key attributes, and safety responsibilities if it is working in a hazardous environment, and even for the budgetary provisions if it is a managerial role and all, everything will be well written in it. I have seen the job description, which I was also in part and parcel of making the job description long back, I think around 20 years before, in one of the companies in SPDC, Shell Petroleum Development Corporation in Nigeria. It is a Shell company only, and where we were making the job description for all. So bit deep dive. So nothing is there, you can make it. But if you have, the job description, what is job description? I don't want to explain more about job description for an MBA, HR professionals. You are all expert in that kind of thing. But how to make the job description, that is also important. And it is not the job of people thinks that, who is responsible for the job description. People immediately will say that it is a HR job. I'm telling you honestly, my ladies and gentlemen, that is not the job of HR. HR is a facilitator. HR doesn't know anything about what a functional engineer is doing, what an operational manager is doing, what a safety engineer is doing. So HR has to talk to the respective subject matter expert and SPs and make and articulate in a right form. That's what you are learning about job description, which I have told about job synopsis or job snapshot, then job accountabilities and responsibilities in bullet form, and it will be 1 page or 1.5 page job description. Then analyze the job in between detail about that one. Job analysis, if it is stretchable job analysis and job description, we can go for job competency. So you need to understand the basics of building a competency mapping or job competency profile. Who are all the right professionals to identify the competencies? That's what I already told the answer. So ladies and gentlemen, again, while if you want to make a competency making, doesn't mean that, I'm a final year student, I can make the competency mapping for no. Competency mapping for whom? For an organization. Competency mapping or for any running organization or a growing organization or a new organization. So SMEs, SPEs and SPA have vital roles. The subject matter experts in that particular field, maybe HR, who are all the best person for making, say for example, HR. If you look at HR family, everybody knows that MBA HR, a lot of MBA HR families are there. The MBA, the HR functions, recruitment and hiring, talent management, learning and development, IR, industrial relations, ER, employee relations. Example. So these are all the subset of the major HR. If you look at, if I want to develop recruitment, that is acquisition, talent acquisition part, or hiring heads, you have to identify some 3 or 4 hiring heads in the organization. They are the SME because they are the SME for HR or SP for HR or SPA for HR. Then you can have a discussion. Then you can identify which are all the competencies required for recruitment. The recruitment selection process or advertisement process, and what medium of advertisement, and how we can get the CVs in through LinkedIn or whatever it may be, or walking doorsteps interviews and etc. Better than me that which are all the competencies required for that kind of recruitment position. Better than me that the talent management, which are all the talent management professionals they're supposed to do in terms of the succession planning, career development pipelines, and building talent development pipelines for different job levels in the organization, etc. So these are all we need to involve the right professionals to identify the competencies. And HR experts, and HR is the guy who is owning that kind of competency mapping. So the important thing in organization, there are a lot of discussions. It has happened long back, owner and champion. Who will be the champion? And owner, definitely HR is owning the whole competency mapping and all hiring, learning and development talent. So champion is the respective business and functional and domain heads are the champions. So this is a collaborative approach. SMEs and HR experts collaborate and deliberate together and build the competencies. And behavioral experts and psychologists, this is also very important. What are the behavioral traits and leadership and managerial and interpersonal skills which are very, very vital, including the company values and mandatory compliance competencies which is required for the organization. So you need to dovetail with that kind of things into the overall competency mapping. Not only the last one, what I'm talking about. Many organizations I have seen, and they were talking only the behavioral leadership competency. That is not the one that is not the competency management system in an organization. In an organization, I cannot say that this manager is very good, he has got leadership qualities are very good, but if I send up this engineering manager to the plant, he will run away from the plant. He may not be knowing anything about the engineering and functional competencies. So, ladies and gentlemen, very, very important. It is the competency mapping or job competency profile or development framework or competency catalog. What I am talking is not only behavioral and leadership competencies. Not only I'm talking about assessment center. I personally absolutely don't believe, not only me, any business experts. If you go and talk to even Reliance or any business experts, they will say that, how he can operate and maintain the equipment and system installed in a hazardous equipment and system, whether he can do it or not. That is the first question they are asking. They are not asking about, what kind of leader he is. Fine, leadership is fine, but it's a very disaster. He cannot manage the equipments and system in the plant. So that's a biggest problem. Sorry, upstairs, second floor of my house has got some sort of minor work is going on. That's what some sort of sound. I'm apologize for that. Methods used to arrive the competencies. So please understand very, very clearly before I switch over to the competency mapping. I got a number of examples. I will tell you many case study examples. Before that, you should understand very clearly that it is not only the behavioral leadership competencies. I am sure you are an MBA HR or an HR professionals, and that is only a subset of the overall competency of what I'm talking about. Functional, domain, cross-functional, mandatory compliance, then behavioral. Then I can say this is the competency which we are talking about. Yesterday also I had a discussion with that organization, and I called all these business heads, called the engineering head, operation head, reservoir engineering head, and maintenance head, then HR head. I talked about all these kind of things, and tell me these are all the competencies required for what kind of positions which we are going to do the competency assessment and assurance system for that kind of organization. So it's not yesterday, and it is already started around 2 months back, which we are going to arrive that kind of thing. It's a long project in 1 year, and plus 1 year, 2 years projects. It will be a big project. And methods used to arrive the competency mapping. Again, it is not I'm not going to, okay, this is a competency, you can do it. No, you have to do interviews, group work, task force, questionnaire. Because I personally involve this kind of exercise, even in Reliance also. 2011, I joined. When at that time there was no competency assurance system implemented, especially for asset facing load, which we discussed about all these kind of things, for arriving in competency mapping. Okay. I think please put your mic on mute. Somebody's mic is, I can hear this out. Okay. Needs for competency mapping, focus to perform job roles effectively, building competent workforce, and which I already why we are doing all this kind of thing. Categories in competency mapping, very, very important. Excuse me, please put your mic on mute, those who are not speaking. Generic competencies.
My humble request to all, please mute their mic, and the operator or coordinator can mute from their end also. Just speaker should be on for the speaker only. Mic should be on for speaker only.
Thank you. you as an expert, please remember one important thing, that you need to understand the different competencies, like generic competencies, competencies which are considered as, which is commonly applicable across the organization. That means from CEO to a large, a small job role, which is, that is the generic competencies. Functional or cross-functional competencies, competencies which are employees in their domain and functions, which includes technical, safety, or engineering, operations, HR, accounts, customer relations, all these kind of things. That is functional and cross-functional. And the third is the managerial leadership, competencies which are essentially required for the managerial or supervisory responsibilities. With my 9 years of experience in Reliance, I'm very sorry to tell you that most of the companies which I have approached me, I normally get a call from major consultants in India. And other consultants also, I will tell you, they will say that, sir, we will do the competency mapping, we will help you on this. When I talk about, then, okay, tell me something about the refinery competencies which is required for the Jamnagar refinery. Tell me something about petrochemical. They will not call after that. That means they have got some sort of assessment center with the managerial leadership competencies, which I don't want. I want only that is a 20, 30% or 40%. What about the remaining things, especially the people working in the plant? I think you understand. So you please learn and enlarge your scope of work on this particular topic, competency on a holistic approach. What the business man wants, what the business required, what the business objective, how I can meet the business objective. That's what I mentioned here about generic, functional, cross-functional, managerial leadership. Everything, it is important in the categories of competency mapping. So HR professionals, I am always advising the same advice I am giving. I already given, and I'll keep on giving to the management trainees. Very, very IIMs and meritorious colleges, those who are joining in the organization, I am talking to them. Your induction period, 1 year induction period, 6 months, you need to learn about the business. Go to the plant, what the engineering operation is doing, what it is. They need to understand about the business. If the person is not understanding the business, it will be a disaster. They are not going to do anything other than a clerk or an administrator kind of thing. You need to understand very, very clearly about the business. That's what I'm talking about, generic, functional, cross-functional, so that you need to meet a lot of stakeholders in the business, like business experts, subject matter experts, SPAs, and department heads on different areas and all. So please don't forget this. Very, very important. I personally believe this is important for making the competency mapping. What happened? Competency based hiring. If you have a generic competencies in place, and if you have the competency, then it's a snapshot of that one which you can be used for hiring. Very simple. I don't want to explain everything and all. Competency based hiring is very important. This will help to identify the right and appropriate training and learning program required for the specific job roles. Focused on right and identify. Otherwise, they will ask some questions. They will ask some generic questions. They will go. They may not be knowing anything about what the organization is hiring for. And again, major organization, which I don't want to mention, many organizations, they have got a very clear other than psychometric analysis, other than basic assessment center, they have got a very clear competency-based interviews and questionnaires for their functional and domain competencies. Competency-based continual development. Any training and development, any learning and development is purely based on competency. Otherwise, it is a fancy. Everybody will say, "Sir, this training is fantastic." Everybody will applaud. They will give a very good feedback. Out of 10, you will give 11 or 12. Out of 10, even 12. Then, if you go and ask, after the learning, is the business is increased or the cash flow is increased? No, that is not the learning I'm talking about. Competency-based learning and development it's any learning and development program, any training and development program which is happening in the organization, it has to be related to the business. It has to be related to the competency. So that's what it is, program or propagate the developmental activities as per competency and its assessment with the help of right tools and resources. That's what a major growing and learning organization is doing anywhere in the world. I'm talking about making quarterly profit, not annual profit, you know. So because their human capital is very, very high, they are saying that, you know, this, we are doing wonderful jobs. Provide managers with the proper tools and empower them to develop their team of employees people. That's what even in Reliance we were doing. Any training which is we are doing, it is purely based on competency assessment and identifying those kind of gaps and fill the gaps by training. So many people approached me also many times, sir, we are having a lot of training program, and if I go and verify those training program, even 1% is not suitable for our business. So how can I engage the people for the training? So many people will be calling, sir, this I can do. But if you go and talk, mainly again, it is a basic generic, and even somebody has approached me technical program also, we can do that. And I've gone through the technical program. These are all 8th class or 9th class or even first year engineering student. So any training, it has to be an underpinning knowledge based training program. Underpinning knowledge means knowledge required for the performance. See, somebody is talking about the startup of an equipment in a refinery, or how you can create a hardware program or a software program for an IT business. That is a program I am talking about. That is a training which I am talking about. It is not a very basic stuff. Nobody is looking for any basic stuff. It is not going to survive also anywhere. If at all, if it is enrolled to any industry, they will say that, I'm sorry, this is not going to get any benefit. We are going to lose the money only. Assessment, I'm not going to touch upon, which is a very large topic which I can talk about assessment maybe in depth, but I'm sure, you know, in our today's session, I'm talking about competency mapping only, and tomorrow assessment, it will be talked in detail. It's a process of collecting and judging evidence of a competence against a relevant standard. Again, it is not assessment center. So sorry, that is not the one I'm talking about. That is not the assessment. So how you can do the assessment a person, that is observation is an evidence, is the judging evidence, observation is an evidence, and product, that is inspection of records, is an evidence, and questioning is an evidence. One of a small 10% element is the assessment center to me, because I have gone a bit in detail about the assessment center and the overall perspective of assessment. Observation means a person is working in a plant, in a equipment, or a person is working in an IT industry. Say, for example, Mr. Patel, I want you to develop a particular software for this particular product, and you please produce. I'm expecting that software to be developed within 2 days time. Within 2 days, he is developing and give to him. I can say that this person is a competent software engineer. That's what I am talking about, the ultimate in the IT level. So I am going to assess that person, that, you know, whether what are the intricacies and what are the methods and tools he used to produce that kind of software. That is known as evidence, observation. An assessor is observing that guy, that whether he is doing the right tools and resources for developing that kind of resources, and what kind of documents he used. That means that check sheets, that is a product. Product is nothing but it is this is different kinds of SOPs, SMPs, or any diagrams, or PFDs, or PNIDs, or check sheets, or logs. And that is important. Then questioning related to that kind of software. Then the behavioral concept, how he is going to relate with the team, how he is going to act as a team lead or a team member, what is his interpersonal traits, and how he is talking to the people, and how he is going to collect with the people and talking to them. I am talking that kind of assessment. Not only giving a psychometric analysis, do this one, he will give the graph and everything is, this guy is perfect. No, that is not the one I'm talking about. So this is a very huge topic, which I don't want to touch it upon, assessment. And the holistic approach of competency assurance system is the competency mapping and competency standards. Assessor is a very, very important person. Assessor is, people always confuse, assessor is, HR is an assessor person. HR is an assessor, good for HR function, for your information. Because any assessor is a highly knowledgeable expert in that particular field. So assessor is a person who collects and evaluates the various evidences of competencies and then decide whether assessee is competent to deliver the given task. Deliver the given task. I love that word. Not know the task. Deliver the given task, following the defined competency as per the organizational expectations, as expected in employment. Assessors, education institution, professors, lecturers, instructors, teachers, industries or corporation, line manager, functional experts, HR managers, etc. These are the assessors normally use. And one of the discussion outcome-based education system in the AICT conference, which I did 2-3 days before, I was talking about completely on professors. There's a lecture on professors, around 85-90 professors all over India joined outcome-based education. It is similar to this, but outcome-based education is also competency kind of things in that parallel. We are not going to talk about corporate industries, and because they have got academia, they have got academic curriculum like MBHR. You got an MBHR theory, you have got a very clear curriculum. There, how you are going to introduce the outcome-based education system. It's a very, very interesting topic, which we did, which I personally involved that kind of exercise in very, very long back when I was working in petroleum development Oman, one of the huge Shell operating company. There also we have got outcome-based education system. We are hiring a lot of graduates. Then we are giving a 3 years training program. Then there we are assessing the same thing, outcome-based education, before going to the plant and field and occupations. Self-assessment, the employee himself or the student, he himself is doing self-assessment. By professor or line manager is doing assessment. Is the you can say MA. SA is self-assessment and manager assessment. Task and field assessment, I love this, because this is important for any industry, manufacturing or oil and gas or petrochemical or refinery or IT industry. This is important, not only theory. They will talk about theory very good. If I give a finance person, if I give and please write a detailed budgetary reports or a capex or opex budget, please prepare and give to me within 2 days time, then it is lost. They may not be doing. So this is a task assessment for that. Same thing, a person working as an engineer, working in the plant, you have to see that how you are going to operate the transformer which is installed in the plant, which is important. So verification is nothing but quality checking. This is also overall competency has been done by the quality checker, that is the verifier. Selection and training of competency is a business case. So here, if you want to develop the competencies, if you know all this kind of concept, then you can easily you can arrive in a situation as a stepping stone to map the competencies, to build the competencies. Again, somebody is on unmute. I'm sorry. Put the mic on mute. Define business objectives, which I have already addressed. Competency system or competency mapping process, it evolves. You should understand about business objective. Business objective varies from business to business. IT business is different, manufacturing is business, oil and gas is business is different, project industries are different, etc., etc. Define business objectives and analyze occupational areas and activities. This is the job of MBA HR, MBA HR in the sense, once they complete and once they come as a management trainee in an organization, then after 1 year or 2 years, if you are assigned as a competency mapping as a part of talent management, role, you need to understand, if you are not going to learn something about the business objective, there the problems comes always. Because I faced many very highly meritorious business managers, like MBA interim students, as well as the full-time trainees. They come in the organization, they think that this is only a white collar job, I can sit here and I can do all this. No, they need to understand what's going on in the business. What is the business, from where we are getting the customers, how the business is accomplished. So for competency mapping, my dear friends, very important, you should understand the business objective, because the competency mapping is coming from business. So your business acumen, business knowledge, cross-domain knowledge, and the overall business objective, if you doesn't know anything of the business objective, your competency mapping is nil. You are not going to do it. You will make only a spreadsheet and you will copy and paste. You are not a clerk. You are not an administrator. You need to create and generate, working collaboratively with the business leaders. For that, that's what, your intervention is very important. So that's why, some companies, they will hire the people with an MTech with MBA, because that guy is an operation guy, engineering and maintenance and all, fine. The IT industries, they will hire MS, Master of Science in Information Management with MBA, Microsoft will hire the people. And UPES, University of Petroleum Energy Studies, Reservoir Engineering MBA, and MBA in Business Management in the oil and gas, they will MBA HR, an HR professional, it's a general HR professional. They are the best guys, who can work with HR and work with business. So business partner and business partnership is very, very important. So then your business objective, you need to understand. You have to define, you need to understand very clearly. Analyze for accomplishing the business. I want to spare some time here before going to the real, I want to show something, especially the real case study examples. If you look at here, analyze occupational areas and activities. Analyze occupational, see, to accomplish the business, which are all the occupational areas is required. Occupational areas means which are the difference. Say, for example, if you look at Bharatiya Vidyapeeth, you have got MBA HR, or you have got, MBA in finance management, and you have got MBA in operation management, MBA in customer management, and you have got engineering and all. So these are all the different occupational areas. Analyze different occupational areas and their activities to accomplish the business. That also you have to go and deep dive it, which are all the occupational areas in that particular business. For example, a business is a manufacturing company. We have got engineering department, we have got an operations department, we have got a safety department, we have got a quality department, we have got a finance department, we have got an HR department, we have got sales department, we have got different kinds of shops and manufacturing shops, we have got different kinds of plants. That's what I'm saying, analyze occupational areas and what are the activities, what these people are doing. So activities is actually, it is coming from the different kind of job roles. So your competency mapping is coming from that kind of job roles. Say, for example, for accomplishing a mechanical engineering department, there is a mechanical director or mechanical senior general manager or a mechanical manager or a mechanical supervisor or a mechanical technician or a mechanical helper. So whatever I said, it is in the same job family of mechanical engineering department. Please understand very clearly. Same like HR department, you have got HR, head of HR or a CHRO. We have got a talent department. We have got an IR department. We have got a learning and development department. We have got IR department. We have got a contractual department. These are all the different occupational area under that, the main HR department. And what the talent management is doing, the activities of talent department, activities of learning and development department, activities of hiring or talent acquisition department, selecting, recruiting, and hiring the people, right people for the right job, etc. So I analyze the occupational areas and activities, which is important. So it is very easy, ladies and gentlemen, if an organization has got very clear defined the business objective, an organization has got a clear job description, our job is easy. So you will get a lot of information from the job description about the activities, what they supposed to do in that particular job role as a snapshot on page or on a half page. Then from there, you are defining the competencies and competency catalogs, which I'm going to talk about all the details. Define and prepare job competency mapping, then defining assessment and assurance methods, planning and organizing the assessment and assurance, audit, verify, and improve. Ladies and gentlemen, this slide is actually from NVQ, National Vocational Qualification from UK, or Scottish Qualification Authority, SQA or SVQ, Scottish Vocational Qualification Authority, which are all the international learning and development awarding bodies to execute and implement competency assurance system in global wise, not only in India wise, global wise. So this is the steps normally any major companies are adopted. So if you have, you already learned about business objective, you already learned about occupational areas, you already learned about activities, you already learned about competencies, competency mapping, and how you are going to do it also, that I will explain with examples. And finally, competency map and job competency profile will be developed. Then the assessment and assurance methods and tools. Assurance, assessment and assurance for functional competencies, general competencies, and cross-functional and technical and domain competencies, then behavioral competencies. So the tools can be, it is a comprehensive tool. Psychometric analysis, it is, you can say that, for that kind of the holistic approach. In Reliance, we have got a platform for identifying this. In this app itself, we have got developed a homegrown platform which we have developed for all asset-facing role. Asset-facing role means people are working in the asset. Around 8,500 people asset-facing role. In Shell, we have got around 1 lakh people across the 50 countries. Asset-facing role like that. So different kind of platforms. I have experience in the platform, even AppMarts. Now AppMarts is not anywhere. I think very long back, even 2000, with the old computer system, they were also having all this, all competency management system, including the competency mapping and job competency profile has been managed through the AppMarts system. So for making and analyzing the competency, this particular slide is very, very, very important. I'm sure in your MBA HR class, you might have learned. I don't know whether you learned this form or maybe different form, but overall, it has evolved from that kind of stuff only. Business objective, analyze occupational areas and activities, and then competencies and competency catalogs. And before going to the actual competency mapping, stage 1, I have divided for explaining bit in detail for easy understanding. And this is, you need to, if you want to learn competency mapping, if you want to be a competency assessment and assurance or a competency expert in future in the human resources function, because it is also an important topic in your HR business area or OD, organizational development. So I made it very simple, different kinds of stages. Stage 1 is identify key occupational roles required to meet the business objective. Unless until you doesn't aware about it, doesn't know anything about the business objective, you are not going to make key occupational roles required to meet the business objective. Stage 1. Examples of key occupational areas. I have given some sort of very broad examples in a very huge corporations, which is making billions of dollars in the business globe wise. An operating company with address within the production and maintenance. An operating company. It's an operating company. It's an example with address roles within production and maintenance. What kind of production, different kinds of production areas, and what kind of maintenance what they are doing. It's an operating company. A drilling company with addresses with drilling operations. Drilling, don't worry, drilling it's mainly for oil and gas drilling or rigging operations. It's a very hazardous areas. Drilling company will address roads within drilling. See, you remember and you recall the competency word itself, it is evolved because of this Piper Alpha incident. It has happened long back, 1980s, to talk about. The word meaning. Before that, it was also there. It is called SSPS, Staff Skill Profile System. And even 1994, when I joined in outside India, before that I was here in Department of Electronics. That time the word it was using OMPDS, Operations Monitored Professional Development Scheme. There was no word competency. There under that competency subsets are there, skill descriptors and skill elements, units and elements. A drilling company which address the roles within the drilling operations. These are all the occupational areas. Some examples I have mentioned. A contractor will address installing and commissioning of equipment. Say, for example, metro is happening there. For the contractor, maybe a huge contractor from outside, which are all the installing and commissioning equipments, for metro operations. Example. A service company will address roles within the manufacturing or in service equipments and operations on the installations. These are all some examples of key occupational areas which is mentioned about. Rather than a small operations, I selected some of the key occupational areas. Then stage 2, identify the activities performed within each role. See, this is interesting. This is only an occupational areas, different occupation. Maybe you can put bullet points like IT industry, you can put some marketing industry, these are all small industry compared to any major oil and gas or operating or drilling companies and all, and you can say that stage 2, identify the activities performed within each role, which is important. That also important. You as an HR professionals has to understand very, very clear about what is about the business objective. Second is about the occupational areas. And I have mentioned here, identify the activities performed within each roles. Here are some typical activities applying to the examples given in stage 1, prior to the first slide. Process operations, starting up a process system, monitoring it and controlling it. Example. So process operation is one of the typical activity. Under that, startup of a process system, monitoring it and controlling it doesn't mean that only these two. This is only, I have given a very, very, very simple example to like. It is not. Certain competencies will be 20 or 15 or 25. There is no hard and fast rule. Many organizations had some sort of debate, Sajeev, we need to limit only 5 competencies. I said 5 competencies, fine, but that is not fulfill that job role. So it depends upon the severity and depending upon the nature of the job role. If a person is working in brick, that is different. If a person is working in an office, that is different. If a person is working in a hazardous environment, that is different. So there is no hard and fast rule. So again, with due regards to HR will always say that, we have to limit not more than 20 competencies or 15 competencies. There will be always some sort of professional challenge and not, I don't want to say a dispute, a challenging discussion always will happen with the business. Business will say that, my dear friend, you are talking about the 5 competencies. How I can meet, how I can met only the 5 competencies to keep this while making the competency profile or competency mapping for that particular job role. I want 17 or 18. So we need to have some sort of check and balance to compromise, to optimize the number, not more than 15 or 20 kind of things. And I don't want to put a lot of generic nature and it is a very elaborative kind of things. It is not going to work. So it is a very workable, but it has to be apt. It has to be apt to the business. So identify the activities performed within each role, drilling, preparing and pumping drilling fluids. This is only a simple activity, typical activity I have mentioned here. Maintenance operations, monitoring the conditions of turbine, that is one, performing routine or breakdown maintenance on a compressor. Examples, not only maintenance operations of an engineering operation. If the engineers, those who are doing MBA, they may be doing maintenance, doesn't mean only this. They got, pumps, compressor, turbines, and even different kinds of pumps, centrifugal pump, screw pump, reciprocating pump, so many things, which I have not mentioned, only some typical activities. Installation, installing an equipment related to, say, electrical or measurement control system. So that itself is a very broad, What I mean to say is, it is you need to identify those kind of competencies, especially for that kind of thing. Then manufacturing service providers, manufacturing, repairing, operating well logging, tools and completion. Construction, fabrication, separation vessels and its pipe work and installation on site. So if you look at a competency, one is generic, and I put functional domain here more. Generic, which is core values and behaviors. Your Porsche is common for everyone. It is important. Everybody has to understand. Business principle, it is important. That is fine. It is simple. It is applied. You can map it to everyone. And behavioral competencies for a junior guy, and that we need to define the competency mapping or competency matrix or competency dictionary for different job roles, junior role and roles and senior roles, which are all the behavioral and interpersonal skills for that kind of job roles. Say, for example, listening skills. To me, it is important for everyone, even CEO and the last, it is common. Compliance training, it is common for everyone. Leadership skill, it is not applicable for an operator working in a plant. Example. So you map that one with managers and leaders. Communicating assertively, communicating attentively, presentation skills. The leader or manager is delivering a presentation to a mass of people where the operator or technician is not doing. So no need to map that kind of things to that kind of thing. So I am talking about whatever I am talking about the domain, same thing you can think of. That one is easy. You can think of which are all the competencies. Say, for example, a supervisor required. logbook writing, and handover and takeover. HOTO, handover and takeover. This is terminology normally used in the corporations. HOTO. LOTO is different. LOTO is lockout and tagout. So this is HOTO is one of the competencies required for handout. Handout, and the logout procedures. Just you can mention in supervisory or managerial competency. And report writing skills important for supervisors and managers. And report writing, he is not writing any reports. Junior guy, middle management, yes. Senior management, how effectively lead the whole team, leading the team. How effectively communicate the whole perspective. How a manager, how a leader can look into the whole organizational perspective to implement the best mutual trust and behaviors and company core values to the organization entire. It's one of the competencies. So think very holistically. That's what I'm telling you. Business objective, occupational areas, then the competencies. Just you can make it. Then stage 3, create competency map. Once you have all these kind of things, generic competencies, functional domain competencies, then you can have some sort of behavioral competencies. Then you can think of that, how you are going to do it. A competency map is simply an array of all the critical activities within the roles and who is to perform them. Ladies and gentlemen, here I want to spend more time on that one. A competency map is simply an array of all critical activities. If you doesn't have the critical activities, so who is the responsible person to identify the critical activities? For an HR job role, I'm sure an HR expert or a CHRO or a very senior person who is the right person to identify the important critical activities for the HR job function. Doesn't mean that only CHRO will do everything. No. Like an engineering function, which I have always challenging and having some discussion, who is the right person to write the competencies of an operator working in a plant? I don't want to say an operation director will make and create the competencies for operator. There was a challenging discussion, it will happen. You guys has to make that kind of challenging discussions once you move to the organization, or which is very, very important. So who is the right person? I will tell you, a senior most operator or a senior operator or operator promoted to a supervisor. He or she is the best guy who can develop the competencies for the operator, for your information. So he or she is the best subject matter expert or skill pool expert in that. Same way, who is the right person to build the competencies of a talent management? No need to call the CHRO to make the competency mapping for that guy. Okay, he will sign off. He will agree. That is a later stage. So a talent management expert within the organization, a guy who has a seasoned, well-experienced 10 or 15 years or 10 years or 9 years of experienced guy with a talent management competencies. He involved lots and lots of things on talent development process, talent management process, succession planning process, and developing the high potential process, and developing different kinds of talent development program for leadership development, etc., etc. So identify those kind. These are all the subject matter experts in that field. And there is a confusion. People think that I am an HR manager. I am the guy responsible who can do the competency mapping for the organization. Very good. That kind of confident, that kind of your foreseeing and vision is very good and much appreciated, but you are not going to do it. You will be working as a team of experts in that field, and you are creating a concept to the people. What I am doing now, I'm interacting with you guys now, because I have interacted in my experience, I think, I don't know, maybe more than thousands times in various industries, in various countries, the same way. Not only 3 hours and maybe 3 days program. And because I will tell you JCP creation, how I am going to make the JCP creation reality. And then It's a collective approach. It's not an one-man show. And HR cannot do anything on competency mapping other than a framework or anything, for your information. The content and stuff and the massive job which is involved on different kinds of competencies and proof points and everything and all, there you require a lot of intervention, other than HR competencies I'm talking about, other than behavioral and leadership competencies. Your involvement on the other area is paramount or very vital or mandatory if you want to build the real competency mapping for any particular job role in an organization anywhere in the world, you know. So that's what a competency map is, as simply an array of all the critical activities. Critical activities, where it is coming, it is not coming from somebody's pockets. Maybe somewhere it is written in the job description, maybe some interviews. And I have for a position working in a hazardous equipments and systems in a confined space entry, where the large number of explosives and plus there is a large potential of fire hazards, you know, may occur. It's a highly H2S plant. H2S plant is nothing but a hydrogen sulfate plant in an outside, it's a petrochemical plant. It's that particular critical activities. I took around 1 to 2 months time for an interview to collect what are the different kind of critical activities of that particular job role. Say, for example, senior operation manager is the head, and below him senior operation engineers and operators like that, the people are working. So which are all the critical activities supposed to be performed by each job roles? Please listen very clearly, not only one job role. So people are maybe, say for example, I will tell you, operation family. This is only one operation family for that particular plant. Senior operation manager is the head of department, you can say, and below that senior operation engineers and operator. Four. Only 4 job roles, but the people may be 250. So please don't forget, job roles are normally a little bit small and the people are more. So for each job roles, senior operation manager, what are the critical activities? So list down those activities. On what? Activities on function, activities on domain, and activities on the behavior. What they're supposed to do in terms of behavior. He has to be a very good team player. He has to lead the team. He has to supervise effectively. Effective supervision is one of the important competencies. Listening carefully, one of the competencies. Presentation skills, one of the nice competencies. And safety competency, which are all the safety intricacies and safeties required for that kind of job role. So safety is there in picture, functional competencies in picture, and behavioral competencies in picture, especially for a particular critical activities which I have mentioned here. Like that, I need to develop the whole activity list in that particular job family, operation job family. This is only one operation job family. They're all like engineering family, HR family, finance family. HR family, finance family, I will tell that it's a phase number 3. Phase 1, it's a critical. It's a critical. So I will say that it is what? Within the roles and who is to perform them. I personally believe that you are clearly understood what I'm talking about. Creating a competency map is that kind of your involvement, that kind of your knowledge, that kind of your not only reading only in books, you have to visualize that. Now you can visualize only. Once you come to the industry, then you will come to know that how large it is and how vast it is, and how you are going to learn from different kind of domains, different kinds of plants, and different kinds of engineering equipments and operations and areas, which you are going to create all the critical activities. And activities doesn't mean that only domain and cross domain. Functional, domain, and safety, including the common competencies which are already told, like core competencies or generic competencies. Then behavioral competence, that is also one. Many companies, I have noticed sometimes, this is also any big mistakes people are doing. They put everything the same behavioral competency for all managerial competencies, put same. It is easy for them, let it go like that. It's a waste. Don't require. The competencies are differs, competencies varies from job role to job role. Ladies and gentlemen, please remember one thing. It will vary for a senior operation manager and for an operator is entirely different. But the whole structure, it will be same. Competency matrix, it will be same. But the proficiency points and the questions and what we are going to ask about all these kind of things, it will be entirely different. Okay. So please don't forget about that. The word I am explaining only about the critical activities, which is an important thing about the while creating a competency map within the roles and who is to perform them. And the profile design, the competency profile or competency mapping design, if you doesn't have any job description, you have to create the job descriptions. And you have to interview the people, you have to interview the concerned people, the respective people and all, Interview means don't go and ask the questions. Interview means, you have to collaborate them, you have to list down. As an HR, clear HR professionals and all, definitely your intervention. I am advising always to my MDs, management trainees who are joined, even from various kinds of IIMs, including the big colleges. Dear friends, unless until you move out and talk to different stakeholders, you are not going to gain anything. So this is one of the very important thing which I always advised even the graduate engineers and the MGs, once you come to the industry. If you want to make this kind of exercise, it's not a simple job. I'm telling you, for making a competency mapping and job competency file for a competency catalog or a competency dictionary, making itself, it will take, months and sometimes year. Then awareness program to the entire team, end user program, the whole team, and systemize the whole thing into the platform. Then execution, it will take minimum 2 to 3 years time. That is the once for all. Once you implement it, I'm telling you, 2011, 2012, we have started the same shell model. That's what our management has told, Sajeev, we need to implement the same model. And this shell global solution also, we have involved that person for auditing. Then we have implemented meticulously. It took around 3 years, 3.5 years time, project to operationalization. A project I was supporting the Shell Global Solutions, and after that taking over, I was the operation head for the execution to the entire organization. Because I also came from Shell, so I was a 50% in the project and 50% in the operation during the initial 2-3 years time. Then after that, move to the operationalization stage. So it is not like a simple topic 1 or 2 page which you are learning. I'm imparting my experiences, and plus, whatever it has happened in the past and whatever it is happening now also in the field. Now in the field, I'm telling you honestly, many times assessment center, every corner you will get assessment center. They will talk about behavioral competency. That is not the one. Again, I'm repeatedly saying, because I was totally confused and totally told many people that, this is not the competency assurance system. People are working in the hazardous equipment. My dear friend, this is nothing. You are talking about, you are touching only 5%. Who will do that? That's what I'm talking about. So you will understand about generic, functional, cross-functional or domain, then behavioral and interpersonal skills. At least 3 buckets you please remember. 3. And it is written for me in my presentation. I have already written, I think, 3 or 4. Job description, list of activities and responsibilities, major headings, units and task list elements and core. If you are designing a job competency mapping, major heading is nothing but nowadays it is changed as a skill descriptor or a knowledge descriptor. Then sub elements, that is the task list. Then core, support, general behavior. That's what I said for core, support, general, behavioral competencies. Core, support competencies, general and behavioral competencies. Don't worry about this kind of these things, and being real, you can say that technical competencies, common competencies. These are all man-made documents. Don't think that it has come from heaven and all, And I have changed this kind of terminologies also in many companies. It is depend, and it's get a buy-in from the organization. The organization has got some sort of behavior, organizational behavior. They are saying, Sastaji, we were following this one. We can tweak it, but don't deviate or deferment the quality standards, which is important. Quality, I'm a pakka quality person. I don't want to make a person competent workforce in paper, really. Bit tough also. Once he is competent, only I will put that guy for a real critical task. Otherwise, sorry, because that guy will burn the plant. Like Piper Alpha incident, we don't want to make it happen. This is the ultimate I'm talking about, because a critical hazardous competency. And for a paper is a small company which doesn't have any hazard, I don't want to implement the competency assurance systems, which is not required. For to me, normal development program is enough and normal training is enough, and make sure that these people are working in that particular small plant. That is enough. But if it is a very hazardous, it is important, it is a critical word is critical. Like I was talking about a aeroplane, very critical, because up and down, takeoff, landing, and plus operating the equipments and system. The guy who is doing a typewriting machine, nothing will happen, some mistake will happen, and I'm not talking about that kind of competency here. That is very, very simple, which you can create. You do 15 times typewriting, then he or she will be a good typewriter. That is a competency which is required. Okay, competency levels, and it is also, I will tell you, many people sometimes talked about the proficiency levels in. I will tell you, before 2000 there are 6 levels in the competency mappings: basic understanding, awareness, knowledge, skill, mastery, and expertise. Some companies are still there, but NVQ and SVQ, which I have told you, the international accreditation bodies, they are always revising the competency standards, maybe once in 3 years and once in 4 years time. It is starting from 6. Then after that, after 2000, 2002, yeah, during my career journey from outside to, I was working in Shell Hazira, that is in Indian company in Gujarat state. I was there for 3 years, for your information, as an operations manager. During that time, when we were doing this competency assurance system for operations working in the LNG plant, liquefied natural gas plant, there we put and change the competency from 6 to 5, because why it is not only from me, it is actually from the international standard EDAXL system and OP to offshore and onshore petroleum training organization, and NVQ system says that this has been revised. Basic understanding and awareness together is known as awareness, knowledge, skill, mastery. Basic understanding and awareness together is awareness, knowledge, skill, mastery, and expertise. 5. So from 6 to 5. Then after 2003, so which I have implemented even in Shell Hazira during that time, because this one 5 proficiency level. Then 2006, 2007 onwards, even in ADNOC also, Ministry of Oil and Gas, ADNOC, Abu Dhabi National Oil Company, it's a very huge corporations in the world, 4th largest oil and gas manufacturers, like Aramco. There, during that time, NVQ and SVQ, that time the accreditation they revised into 4, AKSM. Even now also 4 proficiency level. Even now some companies they are following 5. Some companies they were not following NVQ or SVQ system, but even in Reliance also we have introduced this AKSM model: awareness, knowledge, skill, mastery in the competency and proficiency levels. Again, somebody has put on, please put your mic on mute. And types of evidence, which I don't want to talk. This is evidence is a terminology, and I don't know whether I don't think in assessment center for leadership and behavioral competencies in observation, product, and question is not there, because mainly for observation, a task-based assessment who is working in the plant, that is observation. Assessor has to observe a person is performing the task. That is observation. Product is nothing but the documents related to the equipments and system operations. That is the different kinds of SOPs, SMBs, and certifications. Questions, which is important. Oral questions or written questions, and OPQ. OPQ is previously it was not like that. Observation, inspection of records, product, questioning, simulation, witness testimony, 6 or 7 kind of evidences which was using before 2000, 1997, 98, which I was doing. I got the hard copy also for that kind of experience. Then lastly, assessment and verification, quality checking. So I'm telling you honestly, this is a very, very important tool And somebody was saying, I was doing competency mapping. Now it is not required. It is not required. Some industry, it is not required. But some critical industry, not some, most of the critical industry, money-making industries, big oil and gas companies, big IT industries, even BPs and BGs, British Petroleum, and even Microsoft, Google's, they've got competency assurance management system, people working in the different critical competencies. So you should understand about each line by line items in detail, depth, not only for this namesake of appearing the examination, don't do it, and you please deep dive it and learn much more in detail about that one. I'm giving some sort of peripheral awareness session to this, little bit knowledge and awareness session to this our 3-hour session. This is what it is. This I think, I personally believe that this particular presentation, this page PPT, I was making PPT for this 3-hour session for the last 4 or 5 days, for your information, because I got an 125 GB RAM hard disk, which has got more than thousands of presentations. This particular presentation, which I personally made for the simplicity of the people working in the plant, around 2001, for your information, this slide. Profile design, standards development framework, or profile design flowchart. It has to come from job description, if not interviews and group exercise, list of activities you need to put, and you can convert it into units and elements. Then competency level, like awareness, knowledge, skill, mastery. I changed, it was expert there, I removed it. Evidences, observation, product, and question. It's a very simple kind of flow chart, and this is only for one job profile. Ladies and gentlemen, doesn't mean that this is the complete, I know everything and all, I can do it. No, this is only a very high level concept kind of thing. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to show you also 1 or 2 examples only here. There are n number of examples, thousands of examples. But if you know the basic concept of building the competency, whatever I said about the competency profile design around 7, 8, 9 slides back, I'm sure you will get a fair idea about, you can build your own competencies to make the competency mapping of any job roles. Everybody knows that, in the competency mapping, the first level is awareness. There is no need to explain about, the proficiency level is divided into 4, which is important in the job competency profile. Competency descriptor, units and elements, it's divided into different proficiency levels. There we will be putting a lot of questionnaires on each proficiency level, like awareness, able to identify the task. Yeah, everybody knows that. What is awareness? You can say that, what do you mean by laptop? So laptop is just like a typewriter, keyboard is there, and there is a screen is there. Aware, able to identify this is a laptop. Employee has seen the task, performed and assisted in doing the task, but has not yet done the task alone under normal supervision. Have the impression of what it is and seen people doing the job. Different interpretation of awareness definition. This is also which I picked up from various major corporations, which I put it there. Awareness definitions. Able to identify the task which is important for a working person working in the plant. Employee has seen the task, performed and assisted in doing the task, but has not yet done the task alone under normal supervision. Have the impression of what it is and seen people doing the job. That is also another interpretation of definition of awareness. So people should have different proficiency levels or proof points in the competency mapping matrix. Knowledge, everybody knows that. Acquire the relevant theory to complete the task. Very important. Another interesting point, I want to spend some time here on knowledge. People are confused once you make the job competency profile about questionnaire for knowledge. Knowledge question doesn't mean that knowledge which you have already acquired or learned from the college books. Then what is knowledge? I not mentioned here. It is known as UPK, underpinning knowledge. Knowledge required for the performance is the knowledge in the competency mapping, for your information. I don't want to ask a person about, what do you mean by definition question of recruitment. He has already learned first year MBA HR. I don't want to say about that. Tell us something about, different kinds of recruitment strategies in an organization. That is an underpinning knowledge question for recruitment. So the questions to be set in the competency mapping, because a lot of questions has to be there also. It has to be related to the underpinning knowledge. That is acquired the relevant theory for doing the job, completing the task. Or have worked on it and can, another interpretation, last one, have worked on it and can give a good description of the job or system. Or employee has demonstrated the ability to carry out the task under normal supervision. With somebody's help, I can do the job. That is also an interpretation of the knowledge, underpinning knowledge. So the proficiency level awareness in the competency mapping, which is important, it's after skill descriptor, it is divided into 4 different kinds of proficiency levels, like proof points like awareness, knowledge. This is a knowledge. Please, ladies and gentlemen, while this is a big job for making the knowledge question in the job competency system, knowledge is not the basic theory. If you are not, you as an HR professional, if you are not very clear, and if you are not clearly imparting the things to the line manager or the other people in the organization, you and they will confuse. They will come up with basic books they already learned from the school, college. So we will take some question from there. No, they have to derive the question from the standard operating procedures, from the SMB, from the manual, from the work instructions, from the log reports, from the HSCMS system, from the quality management system of the organizations of the which is in line with the business objective. So your knowledge is known as underpinning knowledge. That means knowledge required for the business objective, knowledge required for the performance. Please don't forget it. I was always talking when we were setting up a lot of questionnaires, even in Reliance also. Some people, sir, can I put the questions like, define Ohm's law? My dear friend, this is a 7th class question which we don't want to ask. So in other words, I don't want to use that kind of words. In other words, we can say that you have to ask occupational questionnaire. What do you mean by occupational questionnaire? Questionnaire related to the job related questionnaire, or occasional questionnaire. What is occasional questionnaire? Question related to that activity. That is the knowledge I'm talking about. I don't want to ask a basic equation or a formula derivation to an engineer or a manager who has already completed a MTech or MBA and coming into the plant. So there are a lot of interpretation, a lot of learning is required to create that kind of knowledge awareness in the competency mapping. Then skill. Skill, what do you mean by skill? Everybody knows that. This is the most important proficiency which an organization is expecting, not only any organization is expecting from a candidate. Candidate means a guy who is undergoing competency assessment, guy who is already having competency mapping or job competency profile, ability to carry out the task as per the procedures. I'm happy this guy is doing the job without somebody's help. That is the ultimate thing. Most of the critical asset facing role, the proficiency level, the employees manager is expecting. I don't want to say somebody saying how we are operating an equipment. Somebody saying, sir, it is very simple. These are all the steps which is required for operating an equipment. Very good. Excellent. Please go and do it. Sorry, sir, I cannot do it. That guy is unfit for going to the job. So in my own English, which I am always saying about the competency parallel, that we don't want to create a lot of talkers in the organization. We want to create doers in the organization. That is the one skills. Talkers is fine. You can talk very well, but you have to do also. You have to perform. Competency is nothing. You look at the definition. It is ability to perform an activity which is applicable not only for working professional. It is important for even for HR, account, or sales and marketing, even lecturing, professor, anything, ability to carry out the task as per the procedures, ability to carry out the task as per my experience. That is wrong. That is not the skill. Ability to perform an activity as the organization is intended, ability to perform an activity as per the organizational requirement, ability to perform an activity as per the organization or employer's expectation. That's what the skill. Not his own, my own skills. I own my own experience. I will do my own way. That means it is not consistency. Competency mapping, it has to be consistent, relevant, fair, and authentic. This four is very important in the whole construct of competency mapping or job competency profile making. The employee has to carry out all aspects of the task independently and has demonstrated that he does not or she does not needs to seek advice while doing the task. The employee has taken the initiative from start to finish in carrying it out. Ladies and gentlemen, a person working, operating a helicopter, there's nobody is there. He only a person, or maybe a co-pilot will be there, or a person sitting in a control room, night shift in a control room. In case of any eventuality, how he or she is going to react and mitigate the problem and solve the problem and control the problem and communicate to others and all, that is the skill which I want. Where there you cannot say that, sir, I have got scored 100 bars. Your skill is more important than I value that kind of skills. And skill even for behavioral aspects also. You show your behavior. Observable and measurable behaviors is the competency. I have got the SOP, but I am not going to touch it because I am a well-experienced guy kind of thing. I don't want to touch this kind of competency. I can do my own way. That means a horrible behavior kind of thing. So behavior, you have to demonstrate that kind of behavior as and when required. Any interim problems encountered can be resolved by the employee himself, have worked on it without supervision. This is the most important proficiency or proof points of a competency mapping of a particular job role where the employers are expected to demonstrate and show by an employee. So there is no ambiguity on these skills. Okay. Mastery. So many things, so many competencies we are not putting mastery in because it is very high level compliance. The ability to resolve deviations and non-conformance relating. He can do whatever he wants. That kind of experience and confidence and potential that employee has got. Employee has carried out the task independently and not only done the job and has demonstrated. He can train others, teach others, and complete understanding which enables problem solving and offering advice regarding all aspects of the task. Can prepare, he can generate, prepare, close out the job and can instruct someone how to carry out the job. He's a change manager, change agent. He can change, he can deviate the SOP, he can create a new SOP and teach others and train others. Considerable discretion shall be used while deciding on this rating. An employee supervisor must be fully satisfied that this level of experience has been demonstrated. Otherwise, don't call them as a master. So awareness, knowledge, skill, mastery is the proof points, which are all the very salient points in a competency mapping system. I'm sure you might have learned something about this one, but you need to understand about activities. This I already observation, a practical activity. Mandri P is a reports, different kinds of report. Q is questionnaire, observation, product, question. Stage 4, develop a competency assurance program. You remember stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, and the last one is the stage 4. In simple terms, the program will set out suitable standards which reflects the rules and activities to be performed. You have already defined the business objectives. You have already defined the different kinds of occupational roles. You have already set out the different competencies required to perform that particular job roles. You have already defined what are the different kinds of proof points like awareness, knowledge, skill, mastery. You already set what are the different kinds of questionnaires to be asked in terms of awareness, in terms of knowledge, and in terms of skills and mastery. And you have to apply this one to all job roles in the same job family. And There are a lot of other job families in an organization. You have to do that kind of same way to the entire organization. That is the whole process. Suitable standards which reflects the roles and activities to be performed. Who is going to be assessed against the standards related to the roles and activities? And who is the best guy who is doing the assessment? I'm telling you honestly. Again, I'm not talking about with due respect to assessment center. No. It is the guy who has got enormous years of experience and experts in that particular field. A guy who is the best person to assess an general manager operations, a guy who is a well-experienced expert in operations, who can do some sort of uh, uh, assessment for their operational experience as a domain, and even for common areas he can expert, and maybe some sort of different tools and tackles and methods and resources which is required for behavioral and interpersonal skills competencies. Then you can say that these are all the complete competency assurance system for that kind of general manager operations in an organization. Who is going to perform the assessment? People always confuse that HR is the guy who is doing the assessment. HR is the guy who is maintaining the data and everything. Doesn't mean that, and creating all this kind of stuff in collaboration with the subject matter experts. When and where the assessments are to take place, how the assessments are to be verified. Everything is the whole comprehensive mechanism of starting from identification to the execution and the assessment and identifying the gaps and training. Everything is known as competency assurance management system. We call it as CAMS long back. Now we call it as competency assurance programs, or we call it as CAS, competency assurance system. Okay. Implementing, you cannot implement just like that. I am going to implement the competency mapping for the entire organization. It is not going to happen just like that, for your information. I will tell you, I will narrate the example in Reliance what has happened during the discussion with the top management. I don't want to name it here, who is the top manager. He is the number one and number two persons. We were discussing, by the time we were discussing that, Sajeev, let us have a discussion to start with the asset facing role, which we have got around 9,000 people in the corporation, starting from refinery, petrochemical, polyester, and different manufacturing plant. We have implemented that one successfully. It took around 2-3 years time to implement that one. So it's a phase-wise approach. You as an HR experts think of moving and mobilizing from the campus to the corporate. You have to think that how you are going to implement after your internship program, after your training program, 1-year program. Once you implement, once you are involving as an HR manager or a talent management head or a talent management manager or a learning and development manager. Think of how you are. It is a phase-wise approach. Okay, it is clearly a phase-wise approach. And typical preparation step, it is not just like that. In practical thing, whatever this slides, whatever you are saying, it may not be available in your HR syllabus and all. Typical preparation and identify key participants in the assessment process, agreeing what evidences will be needed to confirm competences, and confirming current competency levels and identifying the training needs. These are all basic theory. Identifying the resource implications in an organization varies from organization to organization. Developing assessment internal verification systems, establishing and methods of maintaining quality assessment systems, etc. Key participants, assessors, verifiers, and important types of competency. This is the one which I have already explained. Core, technical, apply to all jobs or positions, support to overall business, apply to certain jobs or positions across the whole organization or groups. Technical for the specific job roles, apply to a particular job or specific job family, job positions. So this terminology or the pedagogy or the approach may vary from organization to organization. Don't worry about that only. Sometimes only three. We'll say that a very hydrocarbon industry is safety and technical or domain behavior, like that. Some organization core and common, it is common together. We will put together is a core and common competencies. Core and common, it will be put together. And technical, they use the word domain or functional or cross-functional competencies, and job specific. And one of the companies which I am working is a generic competencies, which is applicable for the same job family, and site specific, because location to location. Country here in India, we have got 3 major locations, and another company is in Singapore, another company is in US, one organization. So there are 5 major, so site specific competencies are different, but even though same job role. But in the master data, Oracle data sheet of the HR sheet, the job position, it will be same. The competency, it will be varied. So it's a draft profile, and don't worry, I have another Excel spreadsheet. I will open it and I will show you an example. SME's involvement is very vital for building competency, which I have already told. Don't think that I will do a super duper kind of competency mapping or competency profile, best practices, normally and all, normally see the best practices, JD, competencies and task and plan specific information. That is, this is an example and draft competency profile. They look like and all, I will show you an Excel spreadsheet also, which I have already in the hypersheet, which I have worked, one of the locations which I will show you. So what I mean to say is, by building the profile, please put your mic on mute. Very importantly, I would say that, your involvement, you yourself cannot do any miracles, but you have to understand very clearly. That's what we are doing this kind of session. You have to understand very clearly about the intricacies and the importance of the competency mapping, and the SME's involvement, on different kinds of domains and different kinds of job families and different kinds of job roles. You need to understand about that kind of stuff. It's a learning and development process. So see, competency framework, these are all the steps which I have already shown. Competency framework, assessment, learning and development, training, blended learning, software is very important, and proven people and process ensure rapid effective implementation. The 4 pillars which I already talked about, that one. Software is very important in an organization. If you have 1 lakh people working in an organization, you cannot make 1 lakh profile for individual profile, So that's what, the software is important. Different kinds of platforms are available, even in the corporation. Even yesterday also, I got many times I got a call, sir, we have got a very good company. We have got a lot of software. It's available. Whatever you are saying, it is you can articulate it to the software. And it's a user-friendly kind of things, which is important also. I'm telling you honestly, whatever I am talking, it has to be articulated into the platform, so that, easily we can manage the things. And I got experience in both. Long back, before 2000, we called us a DFW, Development Framework for Individual, which has got all competency, job competency profile and competency mapping done in hard copy form. Then we are doing the assessment, everything in that form. Then after that, we are keeping a documentation controller. He or she is the person who is mainly, keeping all the documents which is required for the competency assurance programs. Competency catalog again. See here, I want to say something about, it's a competency catalog or competencies and competency list. Example, electrical competency title, or you can say this is a unit or this is an element. Some organization we call as units or elements. Some organization, this is the major domain area, and these are all the competency title or the task areas, like each one. Here, you can say a rotating equipment, a particular profile. You will see the task activity or a skill descriptor, which I was mentioning. And these are all the different levels, like awareness, knowledge, skill, and mastery level. This is known as the proficiency or proof points in each one, which we can make some sort of questionnaires on each one on this one. And we have to do the assessment based on this. And which I have already told about awareness, knowledge, skill, and mastery. For your information, for system purpose, we normally use the word terminology in the system, in the software system, level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 4, just for your understanding. So in the competency mapping, while we put the proficiency level or the proof points, in level 1 is the awareness. Level 2, say for example, a particular job role, a competency required for that particular job competency is level 2, but if you are assessing, then you will come to know that the person is level 1. That means it's a gap. So a competencies which is required for a particular competency for a particular domain or a particular functional competency is level 3, but unfortunately, while we are assessing, is level 2 means again it's a gap. So gap means, after assessment, after rigorous assessment. It is assessment, the word which I am using, assessment, it is not simple. It's a very huge process, which I have not touched upon. Planning and doing and carrying out the assessment, checking, other than psychometric analysis, I'm talking about behavioral assessment. I'm talking about skill assessment, especially. And there was some person is doing, expecting level 3. So while assessing, we come to know that he is a level 4. That means he's mastery. That means he's too good. He may be a potential person. He may be one of the hypos in the organization. So I want to show the level 1. This is a proficiency level in terms of the performance and attitudes. I want to touch only the mastery. Mastery is nothing but, which I already touched upon: troubleshoot, originate, innovate, create. That is the mastery level. And awareness level is recall, recognize, identify, list. It's a very good slide about awareness to mastery level in terms of the competency mapping on different kinds of proficiency level in terms of the x-axis as attitude and performance matters. Or here, say for example, in the performance, you can say ask, do with help, without help of supervision, do with the help of supervision, and adapt, as experts sought by others. Here, if you look at the attitude, receive, accept, apply, and promote. So very, very good slide on proficiency level interpretations on performance and attitudes. This is a real snapshot which I have took. I don't want to mention which organization. One of the organization. This is a competency of a particular job family, and from here you can take different job competency profile for the same job family and different grades. Say for example, grade 12, grade 14. This is tailored to job family and identify the competencies needed for the job roles. Okay, I want to give some sort of a snapshot on this kind of things. See, I'm showing some examples of competency catalog, real case study examples. There are n number of examples. I will tell you. Very importantly, in an organization, if you are in a manufacturing or an oil and gas or a IT industry or anything, different kinds of job roles, it is like, operations, HSC, fire, technique, which I don't want to mention here. Competency catalog, draft, we have mentioned some draft points to be noted. Approach of defining competencies in 4 levels like awareness, knowledge, skill, and mastery, different job roles in the same job family. If I open this particular job competency profile, which is a real life case, if you look at for an engineering family, if you look at the competencies, if you look at here, this is the competencies, and plus, if you look at serial number, these are all the competencies in selection and maintenance and overhauling of a rotating equipment. If you look at here down, if you go there, selection and mounting, dismounting and maintenance of transmission elements and alignments, and all functional domain competencies, and even you can incorporate all kind of generic competencies and even all the behavioral competencies which is required for here for this particular job competencies. And here, from which group it is coming, which job family is coming, E&M, engineering and maintenance, example. Under that, which subgroup, mechanical. Like that, under that, we can show electrical, we can show instrumentation. Under the mechanical engineering group, what are the things? Rotating equipment, competency subgroup. And you don't worry, you will not see anything like this in the system. System will show in the software system, which varies from company to company, it is different. Then competency description. Selection, maintenance, and overhauling of a typical refinery and petrochemical rotating equipment. Awareness. See, which I have already told about the different proficiency level. In the awareness, knowledge, skill, and mastery can describe different types of applicable of rotating equipments and their construction. Can prepare SMP. SMP is nothing but standard maintenance procedures and check sheets for installation, commissioning, and preventive maintenance and overhauling. Can approve SMP. Skill, it is bit somewhat higher. And check list of installation, commissioning, preventive maintenance, and overhauling. And mastery can suggest changes in SMP. That means he can change. SMP is similar to SOP, standard operating procedures. For engineering operations and all, SMP. DEPs is nothing but design engineering practices. Don't worry about all these kind of, full forms and best practices for performance improvement of the equipment.
Sir, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we are not able to see the Excel sheet. Nobody is able to see the Excel sheet.
Oh,
Thank you.
I don't know. 1 second. I don't know why it is because there was a hyperlink. 1 second. Now,
Yes. No, sir, it is not
1 second.
visible.
Let me see, because initially I was sharing the screen. Maybe because of this hyperlink, it has gone to the other this thing. Anyway, don't worry. See, I was explaining. I will tell you, ladies and gentlemen, one thing. Let me go back. I think it just gone somewhere. I was explaining this one. In fact, I was explaining this particular. Sorry, is it visible now?
Yes, sir, it is visible now. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was explaining a bit in detail about a real Excel spreadsheet, how we arrived this particular slide. This particular means this one. The right side, awareness, knowledge, skill, and mastery, and task activity in Excel spreadsheet only in a real case study example. What I would say that, the same way we need to develop the competency mapping for all job roles. That's what I was about to say. So don't worry about that kind of Excel spreadsheet, which was a hyperlink, which I have put it there. I don't know why it is not showing. This one, I was showing a sample. I put it here. And another job competency profile also I have mentioned another example. Example, typical job competency profile mapping. JCP development for different job family. Can I try to open this one? Is it possible to you to see and all? Let me see it. Are you able to see this one?
No, sir, it is again gray.
Okay. I think it is.
Sir, one suggestion: if you have it in your PC right now, so you can just change the screen and you can, access where it is saved.
Yeah. Let me. That's what I'm trying in the Zoom. Zoom share.
So you need to exit from here because we are still able to see the gray screen.
Now you can see this one.
Yes, sir, we are able to see the PPT.
I think this link is connecting from from another file. That's the reason I think it is not showing. Anyway, it's don't worry about that one. It is I have shown a real example of a job competency profile with the different competencies required and with the different proof points like awareness, knowledge, skill, mastery kind of thing. JCP development, and the evolution of this JCP is purely based on the discussions what I heard, just now from the past slides. That's what it is. The JCP creation it has created. Approach to defining the competency 4 levels. Points to be noted. Anyway, I have time for a lot of discussions. Okay, so the whole process, if you look at this slide, elements of competency assurance system, including the competency mapping, and please remember the important, very, very important things, and Please note down the points for discussions to me, which I so somebody is talking, and please put your mic on mute. If you have the turn, just you can speak. Elements of competency assurance system, competency catalog, competencies description, proficiency levels and proof points, and job competency profile, which we have discussed, competency linked learning content. This I have not touched upon because again it is a part of assessment and assurance quizzes. See, any learning which an organization is going to do it, again for your information, I'm now the third bullet point I'm going to discuss. You need to create the learning content, and you need to create the learning purely based on the competency. That is one of the biggest problem the organization is facing sometimes. Organization is having a lot of training programs, web-based training program or classroom training program, or outside vendors is coming and learning and development programs and everything. So it may not be apt for the business objective. That's what initial slide, which I have mentioned very clearly, that, you know, competency based learning. So you as an HR professionals, please think of any learning content, it has to be linked with the competency of the business, or any learning which you are going to develop, that will be linked with the competency of the particular job family. Job family means there are n number of job family. So then you can say that it is a very a niche kind of, or a flagship training programs which you are doing that program. Say, for example, if you assess a person, assessment, of course, tomorrow you are going to have a detailed discussion about the assessment. So if you find that kind of gaps, then how you are going to fill the gaps and what kind of learning. So there the importance is the different kinds of learning content. Competency linked learning content is very, very important. And with due respect to the large team of people worked even in Reliance, even in the past other companies, I have revamped the whole learning content into the competency based learning. So that competency based learning means, you know, the learning required for the business, learning required for the job role. So it is not easy to develop just like that. So what kind of learning content is required to map for the different kinds of competencies in the job competency profile or competency matrix? I will tell you. Generic competencies, example, Porsche, you have got a standard learning content, fine. It could be maybe through web-based learning or maybe classroom training kind of thing. That is fine. This is an example. Domain. Many organizations are a bit weak on domain, especially for your understanding. That just I will tell you, we have created around more than 15,000 of web-based learning, especially for the domain and cross-domain function in Reliance. For the last 8-9 years, we have created, and which it is not bought from shelf, which is unnecessarily we are spending money. You know, sometimes many contractors, many consultancies, they are approaching me and say, we have got a lot of content which is irrelevant, you know. And certain contents on behavioral and leadership contents, that is also, we have got academies, you know, we have got huge academy. Group Manufacturing Academy, I was heading the Group Manufacturing Academy. We have got Mechanical Academy, Electrical Academy, Instrumentation Academy, Leadership Academy, IT Academy, ENP Academy, Behavioral Leadership Academy, Assessment Centers, etc., etc. So that to support the people working across the business, in starting from petrochemical, polyester plant to refinery plant, etc., etc. Same thing even for major companies like. So it is not, and closely working with the stakeholders. Again, I'm talking about the SMEs, SPs, and stakeholders. Other than HR, you know, HR is an agent, and closely collaborate with the other people you have to make. So that's what I want to say about competency linked learning content is more important for the whole competency mapping business also. And you can map it also. Each competency, that's what I'm saying about CMS and LMS. That is the software I'm talking about, you know. Competency management system and learning management system, how you are going to talk each other. And if a person you identify it's a gap for particular competency, the line manager or the HR manager can say that you please go and learn about that one. So how the learning is happening in an organization, people always think that through web-based training or AR, VR kind of thing, very nice niche kind of learning. No. Yeah, how a person can learn in an organization, self-learning, web-based training, classroom training, on-the-job training, which is more important. I personally believe that, which is very, very important. And simulation kind of, there are a lot of simulators. We have got 135 operator simulators, operations learning, specialist learning, and some external learning. And external learning, we are not sending the people just like that for the namesake of learning and all. If it is important, if it is impactful for the business, it is important for the organizational effectiveness, then we will say that, these are all the important things. So competency linked learning content is also important if you are making a competency mapping. Please remember, ladies and gentlemen, it is a whole package, because you have got the business objective, you have got the learning, you have got different occupational areas in an organization, you have got different job roles, you have got different competency mapping for different kind of job role, you have got different job competency profile or competency catalog, and you have got different competency linked learning content. You have got team of assessors who is assessing against the personal competency and the job competency. Then you can identify those gaps and identify these gaps, and we have got competency linked learning content. It could be web-based training, it could be classroom training, it could be peer-to-peer learning, mentoring, coaching, all this kind of stuff. Then assurance quizzes and tasks, especially for certain skill areas, task areas, we have got assurance quizzes. And assurance quizzes, like objective type question, doesn't mean that we can buy it from anywhere. It is purely based on the business. We have talked to the business. I need to ask about the importance of, I need to ask to an assessee that the importance of the SOP, or what is the difference between a pressure relief valve or a shutdown valve. Or I can say that, what is the difference, what is the importance of a team lead and team leader? Simple. What is the importance of a listening ability? What is the importance of a handout takeout procedures? Tell us something about, describe, briefly explain, that kind of stuff, So everything, it is assurance quizzes is there, then task is also there. Then assessment methods and tools and steps. Definitely, I'm not going to explain different methods of assessment methods. And it is an online platform. We made an organization has to make an online platform, whatever we are making the competency mapping and everything. It's the shell terminology we call it as, it's a DMT, data management tool. It could be SAP, it could be Oracle, it could be Opigno platform or homegrown platform or MS Access platform, whatever it may be. And each platform company is there challenging themselves. This platform is fantastic, that this is plan. I don't care about whatever they are saying. I want how you are going to accommodate everything, whatever I am talking, being me as a businessman, how you guys can accommodate everything and up and running without any technical glitches and problems. And it's a very huge job which we have done, everything. And all the key resources, like all these people are involving for implementing the competency mapping in an organization, like line manager, assessor, verifier, system coordinators, managers, and management commitment is very, very important. Without management commitment, we are not going to do anything. Management commitment, in the sense, I'm talking about the top, even though I am in the management leadership team, but still we have got the board of directors has to say that, this is important for our, I'm telling you honestly, our chairman level kind of people, they said, Sajeev, I have seen in North America in BP control room, it is very clearly written, competent reservoir engineers, 1,45,000, and competent pipeline engineers, this much. So this kind of things which we need to implement here in our corporation kind of thing. That is the commitment I am talking about. That commitment is important from the top management. And it won't be a bottom-driven approach. The buy-in, it has to come from the very, very top management, and it has to be implemented across the organization, so that, and all major corporations, they know the importance of this competency mapping and competency assurance system. Competency mapping is a subset of the whole competency assurance system, for your information. it is not complete, everything starting from, I would say that it's a CAMS, Competency Assurance Management System implementation for an organization. That kind of commitment, it has to come from the top management, and it has to be implemented. Integration with all HR processes, which is important. Gap analysis doesn't mean that, only from competency assurance. You can say that, maybe from succession planning exercise or performance appraisal exercise. You can utilize this kind of tool also for annual performance appraisals. Also, some companies doesn't have any separate other assessment process. They are collating all the data, and the system will generate a data for annual PDP. You can say personal development plan or a professional development plan. This is your PDP for this year. Which has covered everything. Your interpersonal skill gap is covered, and your domain skill is covered, and your core skill is covered. Then what else you want? You doesn't want other than that. And if at all, if you require, your manager will identify, not somebody else. Your manager means your boss will say that, Mr. X wants this information too. Mr. Y wants this information too, and put it there. So it is a very, very holistic PDP or a personal development plan. So that's what the last bullet point which I mentioned here, integration with other HR processes, which is important. So it is a very interesting topic, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure, once you start working on this, not only in conceptual mode and not only on very basic theoretical mode, your involvement is very, very vital in the long run to understand the whole nuts and bolts of the competency assurance systems and competency mapping in an organization. But in the HR professional should know about the business, then you have to take it forward accordingly. Okay. My slide, sometimes it is very, yeah. We already see, this is also important. People are always confused about competency is pass or fail. Even still, so many big companies, they are using competency. But as per the NVQ standard or international standard, competency is binary. Because we are not, pass or fail is the terminology used. I removed one slide, important slide, like occasional qualification and occupational qualification. Whatever we are talking about occupational qualification, that means qualification required to perform an activity. That's what competency. So here we don't want to use the word pass or fail. But in a traditional educational institution like Bharatiya Vidyapeeth or any IIT or IIM or anything, we have got pass or fail. Traditional 3 hours examination in each topic, there's a pass and fail. But in organizations, even still some organization is using pass and fail, which I do not agree with that kind of concept, because it's an employee, staff. Pass or fail doesn't mean fail means he is gone out, a kind of thing. No, competent, he is competent to do the job, or he wants more evidence to perform the job in a better manner. That is, even in Shell, even in Reliance also, we are using C or NYC. C means competent. NYC means not yet competent. Even in system also we will create. Not yet competent means, doesn't mean that, he is an useless guy. He is very good on this areas. Then identify these gaps and fill the gaps by training and learning interventions. That's what it is important. Competency is a binary kind of things. Okay. I have put everything in between, wherever we completed everything and all, the blended learning, which is important, especially for competency mapping. People should know about, I said competency based learning, competency linked with the learning. Doesn't mean that, only through system a person can learn. No, that's what I mentioned about blended learning. Blended means it's a combination of different kinds of learning. It could be web-based training, and it could be, and some line managers will say that, okay, you learn. And for your information, ladies and gentlemen, very important is in the new digital era world, there was a lot of challenging discussion. It has happened. I was also one of the discussions with the major big institutes, for the last one and a half months. okay, digital world, we can do the miracles and all, I was asking to a simple question to so many people that, to digitally, how can a person perform a Bharatanatyam through digital platform and all, you can learn, you will get a basic knowledge only. So any web-based training kind of things, especially the organizations, any major organization, they believe that, you will get basic awareness and knowledge, you know, for through your digital learning or any virtual platforms and all. But blended learning approach is the approach normally used in any major corporations. What do you mean by blended learning? Blend. A knowledge-based learning, knowledge-linked competency learning, you will get from information from the system. You will get a lot of things. Apart from that, the manager will say that, my dear friend, you need to go and perform the activity, and perform the activity. That means you do the job 2 or 3 times. That is not the job. That is more important. Then I will assess you. So even I myself, being as an engineer or engineering manager or a head of engineering, many times I told my dear friend, you are very good. You explain very clearly, but your performance is this level. But I was expecting your performance this level. How you can enhance your performance this level? Through training. That is a gap. So how you can fill the gaps? People always conceptually think that, attend some different training, you will fill the gaps. No. You attend some training. What kind of training? That is known as blended training. It's a blend of different kinds of approaches, like on-the-job training, virtual learning, and mentoring. Separate mentor will be there, separate coach will be there, and plus, different kind of instructional lead training, self-learning, and different SOP learning, JIT, just-in kind of training. These are all we call as a blended training. I personally believe, and many times even outside I'm seeing, on small kiddies riding the bicycle. If you want to ride a bicycle, there is a very good course. Wherever you go, anywhere in the world, through books or any kind of virtual learning, you cannot ride a bicycle unless until you you ride the bicycle, 2-3 times. That is a learning in for any kind of field. If I do a presentation like this, I cannot concisely or precisely or legibly I can present it unless until I do minimum 100 presentations. That is your skill. Oh, presentation skill I have done, very good course on 2 days course, and third day you don't expect that you will be a miracle kind of presenter. No, it will come. That's a blended learning approach. So I personally believe that kind of stuff. I always advise to my team, and wherever I work, a team of people, that you need to think of learning from a holistic 360-degree kind of angle mechanism on your learning. Nowadays, lot of digital learning is available, lot of digital platform is available many times, and even many managers were challenging me, and they were saying, Sajeev, this is very good, we will demolish all this kind of on-the-job training and we will replace with a digital learning platform. I said, so my simple question, so the aeroplane also, they will ride the aeroplane with the digital learning, they will third day or after 3 years, they will operate the aircraft. So that is my challenge. And it varies from position to position while mapping also. A person who is working in an IT industry, that is different. His on-the-job training is IT only, is a laptop and a lot of other things, which we need to learn. A person working in a construction industry, it is different. A person working in a manufacturing industry is different. So identify what kind of learning methodology is suitable and apt for that particular job role, depending upon the industry. It will vary from industry to industry. Think and analyze it. Then you can put, these are all the methods which is important for that kind of things. What is the on-the-job training for an IT person? You have to do the on-the-job in laptop many times, creating a software or creating, or even a hardware engineer, do some kind of job. That is the one job for what is the one job for a cyclist? That one. So it varies from person to person. You cannot generalize that, digitally you can replace with everything and all. Personally, I don't believe it. I can challenge it also to anybody. Okay, that is based on my experience. I'm telling about software is very important. Then proven people. This we already talked also. implementing the system, which we already talked. Competency cycle, this is the competency mapping at the end state, which I would say that, uh, we have to, if you can create, this is a very interesting, one of the major companies in the world for creating competency mapping and competency assurance systems. There are two companies which I like it and which we have involved for, even for Shell also, long back. Petro Skills, you might have heard. I believe that, this is one of the major companies. They can talk very well about. Another one is IHRDC. IHRDC is not an Indian company. It is a Boston. It is in US. They were predominantly focusing on the huge petrochemical, oil and gas, E&P companies, even the IT companies. They enrolled. One of my friend has joined in Microsoft as an. He's actually has gone from oil and gas industry to Microsoft to implement this competency assurance piece, in the organization. So here the interesting piece, one very simple. Whatever I talk now, maybe this could be the last slide. Then after that, we'll go for the question answer session. Whatever I talked here, it is, if you look at here, learner assigned individual development plan, that is blank. That means it is this is the job competency profile, and the person is not very clear. He can go for self-study. Then online theory assessment. Here it is written pass. This is the old slide. This is not the pass, competent or knowledge. So the system will show the half is okay. Then it is gone for the skill. So this part is the knowledge. You can say this part is the knowledge. And after that, it is everything is on skill and behavior is showing here. 4, 5, 6, the people are interacting, coach is there, mentor is there, and on the job evaluation, and the line manager is interacting with these guys. Finally, that person is completed the competency on a particular competency on that job competency profile, and it keep on continue task learning to complete the job competencies in that particular job competency profile. Then it is completely on once you complete all the competencies for the job role, say for example 20 or 15 or 25, depending upon the job roles. This is the competency cycle, the end state, which you can think, and is a very prototype and very simple also. But to make this one the back end, there is a massive kind of exercise and massive kind of data, massive kind of theory, and massive kind of work is involved for making this kind of competency cycle. Assessment process, I'm not going to discuss everything and all, because the assessment, tomorrow you are going to have a detailed discussion about the assessment. And finally, because this is a slide which I have prepared very long back, I put it here, an observation. Sorry, I'm not going to. And lastly, I would say that, thank you very much for the competency mapping discussions. Thank you very much for your attentive participation. And in a nutshell, I would say that, for competency mapping, theoretically it is easy, and practically you have to work hard, and hard work is very essential. And plus, starting from job description, list of occupational activities and different kind of job roles, creation of different kind of job competency profile and competency mapping, and different kind of proficiency level like awareness, knowledge, skill, mastery, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. And each one we have to put different kinds of questionnaires, and what kind of different kinds of questionnaires, and what kind of assessment which is required. And finally, you can close the gaps. And if you find out the gaps and fill the gaps by learning and development interventions. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This is 3 hours quick snapshot kind of discussions. And this is my Gmail and plus my contact number. You can call me at any point of time for any kind of clarifications, for any kind of doubts. I'm expecting maybe 2 or 3 questionnaires, summarized questions. I think maybe any of the coordinators might have compiled some questions. You can ask to me also, please.
Yes, sir. We do have some questions. So I'll be starting with the first question. So what is the difference between skill metrics and competency mapping?
skill matrix is nothing but, the different, see, skill is varies from position to position. If you put up a job family, say for example, a very simple example I will tell you, HR job family. HR job family, HR manager, and these are all the different competencies for an HR. Recruitment, that means talent acquisition, talent management, talent development, learning and development, IR. And for each one, these are all the skill which is required for HR. Okay, this is the skills, different kinds of skill set which is required for an HR manager. Then for each job role, which are all the skills which you can require, you can put a tick mark. If you are specialized in talent management, you learn more about, talent development and, succession planning development. You put some sort of metrics, you put some sort of into marks. That means, you identify the different kinds of skill matrix which is required for an HR job. But competency mapping, it is not like that. Competency mapping, when it comes to competency, it has come from the job role. Job competency profile for a particular job role. So it means skill matrix is a generalized skill matrix for HR. Another one, if you take a talent or a learning and development, you put the learning and development or a talent management. Under talent management, succession planning one is the identification of hypothesis one thing. Identification of leadership programs is one thing. And for that, you can develop different kinds of proficiency level for each this thing. That is known as competency mapping. So skill matrix is a bit different than competency mapping, but people still use skill matrix and competency mapping more or less same. But again, it varies from organization to organization, and again, it varies from the criticality to criticality. If I am so critical about a person working in a hazardous environment, his skill matrix we need to make in very detail. And that skill is important for the people working in that particular hazardous equipment. All the skill is important for that particular equipment. So skill matrix is eventually applicable for that particular job family only. But in the job family, there are different kinds of job roles. There you will have job competencies. That's what, the skill matrix and competencies. And again, whatever I am talking about this one, and people again confuse about what kind of skills. That also the same person can ask. Skill doesn't mean that only interpersonal skills. It means for generic skills, site specific skills, and core skills, including the behavior and leadership skills. Okay. Yes.
The next question is, what are the major challenges of mapping competencies in the digital age?
Absolutely no challenge. Every organization is keenly looking for mapping the competencies in a digital age, because this digital age is nothing but it is digitization is happening to the entire growing organization. The company doesn't have any competency, a company is not growing, no reputation, company's productivity is down. They are not looking for any competency matrix or anything. They are not going to implement anything. But growing companies, they are always challenging. They are always having, I'm telling you, and people are confusing. I will tell you, digitization, people think that, it is happening for the last 2-3 years. No, it is a very wrong notion. See, my experience for the last 3 decades of experience, even 95, 96 itself, even though it's a documentation is there, then they have articulated into somebody is there to key in the data, what is physically available there. That itself is a digital for me. Maybe they will be maintaining in Excel spreadsheet. You look at, I'm telling you for your information, in one of the location in PDO, South Amman has got 16,000 employees. 16,000 employees data I will get in fingertips if I go and ask to a person through system. Maybe that system is a 256 old 486 computer age. I'm talking about 98. So that digitization has improvised over a period of time, now also 2020. And we don't say that, now we are in full proof. After 5 years or 10 years, whatever we are talking about is obsolete. It is an evolution. And digitization is always, I had a discussion, a challenging discussion with a digitization expert for the last 4 or 5 years. My dear friend, you've seen the world only 4 or 5 years, not like that. Long back, when I passed out from school living, my father has given a present, a Casio Casio calculator. Still, I have that one, a big one, big calculator. That time also calculator is there. Now you will get a solar, very small one and all. You know, you will get in laptop or iPad also. So digitization is happening long back. A big switch, even if you take your Ericsson mobile 20 years before with a what you can say, an antenna, now it is a small one, smartphone. It's available. So digitization experts, I am always challenging that, you know, it is an evolution. Whatever you are doing now, it will be an obsolete after 2-3 years and all. So there is no challenge. Organization is keenly looking for the experts, not like a peripheral kind of knowledgeable guy. Because I personally believe that digitization is very, very important to map all the management system. I'm not forget about competency management system. HR management system, engineering management system, operation management system, finance management system, organizational management system, they are digitized. So there is no challenge. Organization is keenly looking forward for institutionalizing and executing the digitization part. So absolutely zero challenge, I would say. Even whatever I am talking for the last 2-3 months with the major corporations abroad, they were always looking for how we can how we can articulate into the platform. So absolutely there is no challenge. People will get buy-in. People are completely aware, and especially for even for the last, I was in Washington DC by February. I came here March, and March 13th or 18th is the first lockdown started. I was working from home. What digitization is? Daily I'm having meeting, maybe 4 or 5 video conferences, MS Teams calls and all, you know. So it was working very effectively. People are doing fantastic jobs. Only people working at the plant, they were doing the job. So that itself is a digitization. It is not a myth. It's not a new thing. It is an ongoing thing, like an school standard, you know, first standard, second standard. This keep on evolving. It will change a lot also over a period of time. I personally believe there is no challenge. Organization is hardly welcome the digitization. I'm telling you, growing organization, corporates. Yeah. Hello.
The next question is chances of getting faculties even after following competency mapping.
Sorry?
Chances of getting faculties
Chances
even
of,
after.
what is it? Chances of? It's not clear. Question is not clear what you're saying.
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir. My question is, there is always confusion when we attending the interviews and when we conduct the ISO audits also. There is always confusion about skill metrics, job description, competency mapping, required skills. Everybody's aspect is very different. So we need some one single sheet data. What is meant by required skills, competency mapping, skill metrics, job description. When we explain it, nobody agree for the same. Everybody's aspect is different. So it is more better to us to explain. He is the expert guy, and he has explained in very correct manner by correct terminology. If possible, please share the same.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You recall my presentation, whatever I am talking about. You are talking about the consistency.
Yes, sir.
Person is also having different concept. You have some sort of concept. I have some concept, and third one or fourth one, different concepts and all different terminology. Somebody is saying CC, competency catalog. Somebody is saying competency mapping, competency dictionary, competency, job competency profile. But today's my presentation, what I have presented is the which I already mentioned, that National Vocational Qualification or Qualification Authority. These are all the terminology, almost all terminology, assessment, terminology, the DFW, development framework, evidences like observation, product, question, and which I have adopted. It is an international global practices, which is normally being practiced in world major corporates.
Sure, sir.
But even Reliance also told, that during my onboarding during 2011, during that time, very clearly told, Sajid, you do the same way, whatever it has happened in Shell. So what we did, we involved SGS, Shell Global Solutions, SGS. They are the huge learning and development directorate under Shell. They came, and the terminology, whatever I am sharing to you, even the competency shape, awareness, knowledge, skill mastery, and skill descriptors, and the JCP, job competency profile, and competency catalog, absolutely same. We were following uh, you know, the same methodology which we have adopted, not only even Shell, even in ExxonMobil, even BP, even Chevron, even in Aramco, even in ADNOC. But one person, I don't want to name, one person I hired for one person as senior, very senior, more than a senior general manager, AVP like kind of person. He is reporting not to me, he is reporting to my 2 grades below person. He came to me, sir, we have adopted this system in such and such company. And I said, that company, we were not very clear about, what's, it was different terminologies. They were talking about, as you said, matrix, they were talking about this one. I said, fine, because it was a practice. It was a practice evolved. It is an evolution from where? If you look at the overall terminology, which is, to my knowledge, it is a competency standard evolutions. It has come very long back after the major incidents happened in the global wise, like Piper Alpha and all 25, 30 years, more than 30 years before. By that time, the competency standard has been set by the Edexcel and Opito and NVQ and SVQ system. All the major corporations, they have implemented that kind of standard. And so the terminology is whatever I am talking about, the terminology is involved with the same standards and systems and all. If you are not following a global standards kind of thing, so the inconsistency you may feel some sort of inconsistency. However, you have to deal with that kind of organization. But the concept of whatever you and me will be talking, it will be same. But you can challenge to somebody that, from where you are talking about this kind of terminology, from where it has been evolved. Is there any standard document is there? And for your information, there is a standard document. If you refer the standard document like WAM document, Work Assessors Manual, and if you refer the DFW document of OP2 site, even NVQ site, SVQ site, terminology, whatever we are talking about, it is more or less same. So to my, if you, conclude it, even though terminology, it may be different, non-consistent, and I don't want to challenge that this is you are right, I am right, and yes, right, and etc., etc. But the approach has to be right. One thing which I have noticed based on my experience within India and even abroad, and India, I have seen most of the organizations, they were talking about competencies only, leadership and behavior. And I'm sure 100% many people have completely agreed also that one. And they were least bothered about the other very, very important competencies on domain, functional and cross domain, and the common domain. So that's my conclusion. Even though terminologies are a bit different, and because of non-consistency approach, and because of the detailed information may not be knowing bit in detail about the evolution of the competency management system. Why we are using the word competency itself, it has evolved from long back because of the incidents and accidents are happening in a hazardous environment, which we don't want to make it happen. We want to generate and create competent workforce for achieving the business objective of an organization. If you have that kind of mind, if I have got a small organization, there is no hazard, no problem. I don't even use the word competency. It doesn't mean that it is irrelevant to apply certain, because it is expensive, it is a lot of things it is involved and all, may not be required. And if I go and talk to an organization where they may not be having anything, they may not digest what we are talking about, in terms of competency. But it very importantly in the MBA HR, the word under organization development and talent and HR, There's a word meaning competency, competency mapping, job description, competency. Even I'm challenging certain, one of the, I don't want to mention I was a visiting professor to one of the, not one, two, three times, I have mentioned, and I have given the academic curricula, which I have noticed that this is completely wrong, which I don't want to say openly that it's wrong, but I tweak the wording. This is not the way. You have to change this word to this one and all. Ultimately, the content and the approach what we are talking is absolutely same. So your
Good
question,
afternoon,
whatever
sir.
your talk is very valid. Thank you. Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir. Myself, Spandana.
Yes. Yes,
I
Nazar.
received very important topic from you. Very gladful. Thanks to you and the organizers. My simple question is: I am a research scholar. Is how this competency mapping is flourish in the future or not? My question is: we are we are in HR stream, but we don't know about the engineering topics very well.
Yeah, I
In
know that. Don't worry. Don't worry about that. You
technical
said, and
areas, how we will analyze the data as per the organization requirement.
I'm so glad to hear that you are a research scholar. You are doing your PhD, your masters and PhD and all,
In HR,
and flourishing the competency in future or not, 100, not 100%, more than 100%. It is very, very important for a big organization. I'm not saying if you go and ask to as an organization as CEO, he may not be knowing about what you are talking about. I'm talking about the criticality of organization is important, Vandana. Very importantly, you said, the, where this kind of, it is not a very, all critical organization, almost all critical organization, they are very much keen to understand, learn, execute flawlessly about the competency and learning in an international or global standard manner. I think you are a very good example. You as a research scholar and you are learning, and you can learn a lot, and definitely this will be an interesting and this will be a very fantastic topic, and you can do the research work. And one of my friend Andrew O'Connor is an African guy. He has done his masters and PhD in organizational learning. There, one of the specialization is, I was the mentor, during that time. I think, I'm sure that, because I am so inclined towards this. Even me as I'm an engineer by profession and masters in engineering and engineering science PhD, and including human resources professional, and so I'm so much inclined towards, developing the competency standard in a holistic approach. Like, that's what I'm always talking about. Competency is not assessment center. Absolutely. If somebody is coming and asking, and I will grill that guy, and I will tell them, and I will make clear that, that is not the one I am expecting. You are talking only 25-30% of competence. You as a research scholar, you can enrich your knowledge on competencies. This is the right time, and build your business acumen knowledge broad. Then you can implement, and you can come off with flying colors. Absolutely. As you said, in future, that is the competency. Future,
Okay.
definitely there is a lot of scope for this kind of things. But in medium companies, they don't know it. They don't want to implement even learning also. Forget about it. I am not into that. I am coming from a corporation where I worked in world major corporations, and multi-billion corporations. They are looking for this kind of things, and the growing organizations is always there. And some medium corporations, they want to flourish to the next level. They are also keenly looking for that kind of stuff. Even for junior organization, if you want to expand their business to the next level and expand the projects and everything and all, they are also looking for that kind of stuff. And so I wish you all the very best, and plus you can learn a lot, and plus it is a very interesting topic, and you can do deep dive and postmortem analysis. That is my own English. You can do it, and you can learn a lot, I'm sure.
Sir?
Any questions?
There is one last question.
Yeah.
So, being a beginner, from
Oh,
which
shit.
tool we can start competency mapping?
Being as a beginner,
Which tool we can use for competency mapping?
being as a beginner, I would say that please don't think of any tools. First, you understand the basic concept. Tools are changing day by day. That's what I mentioned. Maybe SAP or Opicino or any kind of tools are available. But if you know the basic concept of building the competency from A to Z, then you can take a software expert and you yourself can say that I want this kind of things. We are not going with the tool. The tool has to come to us. Sir, this is what you want. I will make a tool for you. So for you as a beginner, you please understand the basic concept. Tool is keep on changing. 7 years back, I was using a particular tool that after 7 years, it has changed. Even in Reliance also 2-3 times it is changed. So tool, there are different tools. SAP is also we are using. SuccessFactors is also we are using. I'm not going to recommend any kind of tools. But once as a beginner, you learn the concept. A tool is, and again in my presentation, I have tool DMT, data management tool. That is a tool which I have. There is no data management tool available. There is no wording like that. I myself has put the word data management tool. It could be SAP, SuccessFactor, or Oracle, or Access, or anything. So rather than tool, you understand the concept, then tool is nothing. Tool is only a data management. You may not be expert in tool, but you may be expert in competency. But tool will tell you what are the things to be done and all, then easily you can take it. Darwin box, one of the things, somebody was saying they are using the competency in Darwin box. I was learning, I was analyzing the complete capability of Darwin box. Now, whatever I am, because everything has to be holistic. Whatever I am talking about, starting from A to Z on competency, including the whole learning management system, including the whole CMS, including all the succession planning, including the appraisal form, everything, is it compatible? And if it is compatible, the expert of that tool has to demonstrate to me, then I will say that this is good. Do you get my point, what I am saying about?
Yes, sir.
So may I request one question? Hello.
Any other?
So first of all, thank you so much for such an enriching session and wonderful session. Sir, may I request you to touch upon some well-established models in this area, that is competency mapping, so that based on that we can conduct some future research as a researcher. So if you can touch upon some well-established models in tomorrow's session.
Tomorrow I will not be here. Tomorrow another lecture will be there. He will be talking more on assessment center and assessment methodology. Okay. And my topic today is about evolution and plus the competency mapping, how it can be done and all these kind of things and all, And it's that is possible. You don't worry about that one. Definitely organization, our Bharatiya Vidyapeeth will support you to make you to understand very clearly about that. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Any questions?
No, so that was the end of it. So thank you so much, sir, for answering all the queries from the participants. So now I would request Dr. Parag Karulkar to please propose a vote of thanks. Over to you, sir.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. I am Dr. Parag Karulkar. It's my privilege to put a vote of thanks on this occasion of the webinar conducted on the topic Competency Mapping Need of the Hour. On behalf of Bharatiya Vidyapeeth Institute of Management Studies, Research Navi Mumbai, National Institute of Personal Management, Raigad chapter, and our college, Konkan Jnanpith Uran College of Commerce and Arts, Uran, Raigad, in association with Human Capital Club, we have organized this today's webinar. Sir, Honorable Dr. Sanjeev Nair, Founder, Chairman and CEO, Competent HR Solution and Asian School of Science and Engineering Technology. Sir, really, it's a wonderful session today we have, and you have spent your valuable time for more than 3 hours. It's, I think, patience is also one of the competence in that we require nowadays, because these all new generations needs a lot of patience to learn something from the experts and also learn from the experience. So as you told that functional competency, HR competency, and these all we can learn with the help of the practical work experience. And as per your opinion, that behavioral competency is not only sufficient, but also we should concentrate on all the aspects, that is functional, cross-functional, operational, HR, then generic, and even managerial also. And that we can learn only through the practical experience. Sir, thank you once again for spending your valuable time. Your various examples and case studies also have made the session interesting. And as you know, the participants were also were very much enthusiastic to ask you the questions and their doubts openly, and your answers also very sincerely to them. Sir, again, I would like to tell you one thing. You also focus on the point how to develop the competency assurance program and implementation on it. So once again, I thank on behalf of the organizing committee. I am also thankful to our organizing secretary, Honorable Mr. Avinash Somunshi, Chairman, National Institute of Personal Management, Raigad Chapter, Honorable Dr. Anjali Kalse ma'am, Director, Bharati Vidyapeeth Institute of Management Studies and Research, and our Principal Honorable Professor Kishore Sharma, Konkan Nanped Uran College of Commerce and Arts, Uran Raigad. My thanks are also due to convener of the workshop, Honorable Professor Kuldeep Balarao sir. He has taken very good initiative to organize this program in collaboration with us. So Professor Kuldeep Balarao sir is a mentor of Bharati Vidyapeeth Institute of Management Studies and Research. Honorable Mr. Samir Sheikh, Manager HR and IR Fargo India. I am also thank to all the participant faculties and students and professionals, those who have taken a very good interest to attend this webinar till the last minute of this session or the webinar. I am also thankful to supporting team, Rajeshwari Puhan, Usha Malapatra, Fatima Kadri, and Kajal, Ankita, and Priyanka. Their support was, in technical support was very supportive. Without any interruptions, they have conducted this session. So thank you one again. I am now, hello.
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Hello, I am audible? Yes. Hello, I think there is a problem.
No, sir, you're audible.
Okay, so once again, I am thankful to one and all those who have helped us to directly and indirectly to conduct this workshop. Thank you. Now hand over to Fatima.
I request everyone, please switch on your camera so we can take a photo together. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. All the best to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you once
Thank you
again.
so much.
But please share, sir, that differentiate words, what we said, competency mapping, job description, etc. Please share that difference of terminology.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
I'm leaving now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So all the terminologies given by you are very pinpoint. Please share it. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
मिनिट होता काय चीज ई कलर नहीं नहीं वाला ब्रश से करा वाला ब्रश से हाँ ना अनुज अनुज अभी रुक जा